The 2024 fantasy football season, for all intents and purposes, is over. If you play in week 18, well, I guess we can answer some start-sit questions for you. But the purpose of this show, we're airing some grievances. We're getting out all of our frustrations from the 2024 season, injuries that hurt your teams, coaching decisions that destroyed a week for you, all of that. Bring it to us. We've got our own, of course. We've got a slew of guests that are going to be coming on, sharing some of their stories and bad beats and missed opportunities, all that good stuff. I've got Ryan. I've got Joe. We're going to be airing some grievances, so stay tuned. The first thing I see coming out of this intro, Josh is right. Holy shit, that's the first.
Yeah, but it makes it funnier because it actually makes Jim Harbaugh sound even worse that he made 3 straight NFC championships in the Super Bowl and still couldn't finish the fucking job.
Oh, man. Good time.
Took him 11 years to beat Ohio State, so...
For context, everybody.
I love when the backstage debate just spills into the intro.
Don't worry, Chargers fans. You just have to wait until the year 2046, and Jim Harbaugh will get you to a losing Super Bowl season.
Boom.
Don't you worry. God,
for context, we were talking before the show about the 49ers because one of our biggest grievances this year, of course, is Kyle Shanahan and his handling of Christian McCaffrey. But we were talking about how over the last 20 some odd years, the 49ers have either missed the playoffs completely or made it to at least the conference championship game. And these guys didn't believe me. And I said, the graphic's been floating around Twitter. It's there.
Joe didn't believe you. I just was like, okay.
Well, you're gullible, Ryan. It's okay.
I am. I 100. If it's on the internet, it's true. That's why I believe every bit of coach speak. That's just who I am as a person. So,
oh, that's funny. All right, for those that are just tuning in, this is our 5th annual airing of the Fantasy Grievances episode. 2024 season, for all intents and purposes, is over. We answer start-sit questions all the time. We're gonna do that again because some people do play in week 18. We already have one question. So before we bring on our first guest, Joe, Ryan, let's go ahead and help out our friend Football 6464 from over on Twitch. Hill or Judy this week? Tyreek Hill, Jerry Judy. I can't believe this is even a question in 2024, but you know what? It is. Ryan, I'll start with you.
So I'm worried Tyreek Hill is likely dealing with Snoop Huntley, or more than likely dealing with Snoop.
Did okay last week.
But Jerry Judy has proven to be the Browns' entire offense. If Jerry Judy is playing and Bailey Zappi is now starting, I'm rolling Jerry Judy out in this. It's easy to say the Browns have nothing to play for. Beating Baltimore is something for the Browns. And so with Bailey Zappi at quarterback, as long as we can confirm that Jerry Judy is playing, I'm playing Jerry Judy in this one.
Joe.
I don't know. Week 18. Who's playing? Who gives a shit? Who's closer to their incentive?
64 clearly gives a shit, Joe.
Who's go look at their contract incentives. Whoever's closer to a contract incentive, play that guy. Tony Pollard's going to have 83. Somebody needs 2 touchdowns this week. Those are the guys that are going to perform well. Sure, throw in Zip Zap Zappy and Jerry Judy at this fucking point because they're all suck. Cleveland is a 20-point underdog. So, yeah, sure. Jerry Judy. They're going to have to throw and play from behind. They don't have a run game. I'll go Jerry Judy.
I don't remember seeing either of these names on a incentive list. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, because the Browns are like, oh my God, if Jerry Judy catches 2 passes, we fulfilled our contract duties.
I'm personally going to go Tyreek Hill. It's still Tyreek Hill, and the Dolphins actually are playing for something. They're trying to get into the playoffs, even though that Snoop Huntley is under center this week.
Can we stop calling him Snoop? Can we stop calling him Snoop? Can we just not?
Whatever.
He's Tyler.
Snoop, whatever.
He has not earned the Snoop name. He is Tyler Huntley. He's barely Tyler. We start calling him Ty. All right.
He is better at football than 99.9% of the population. I think
Yeah,
he's
but
earned a nickname.
But the 0.1% that matters in his profession, he's not. So he is Ty Huntley.
So since we're coming up on our first guest here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in old friend of the show.
Yes.
I haven't been back in a while. Mr. Chris Robin, Detroit Beastie.
Hey, boys. Happy New Year.
Happy New
Hello.
Year, my man. How you doing, bud?
I'm fantastic. I'm, kind of the part of why I'm here, right? I was going to kick it off. I'm happy to be here. And a lot of folks that when they get on a broadcast, that's the first thing they say. Everything's all sunshine and rainbows. But,
Not this show.
Ryan reached out and I was more than happy to, of course, agree. Friend of the show. And yes, there's a few things to say, but we'll kick it off that way. I'm glad to be here. This is fantastic. The regular season is all but winding down. And so there's a few things that people need to get off their chest. And to be fair, no, not throwing shade. I am absolutely happy to kick off the grievances part of the broadcast because it's going to be fun. I thought I'll just riff, and then I had to write some stuff. I was so irritated by just the question you asked me, Ryan. I had to write stuff down. Normally, I'm just a DFS and sports betting guy. Rankings and all that is one thing, but I was actually in bed last night and I put my head down. You put your head down. And every 2 seconds, I had to jot a little note down.
I love it.
I was so irritated.
Yeah.
What's funny is Chris is my go-to guest. So Chris was the first guest I ever had on my DFS show 5 years ago. And so Josh was like, I need you to find guests. Chris was my first DM. He accepted before anybody else replied. He accepted the leadoff spot. But what I love about inviting Chris to a show like this is largely Chris is the most positive guy that you deal with in this industry. And now we're making him go negative.
Bingo. And that's why because it's not my regular everyday life. I'm not the guy that you go to the grocery store. Sure, I'll help an old lady carry groceries to the car. But then if you skim my bumper when I'm backing out, I'm gonna freak out, and not in a good way. I'm not saying I road rage or I'm gonna, punch someone in the face while you're out in public. You can't live that way. But it's not all a show, let's say, but maybe it is. I don't know. I'm still discovering that about myself.
There you
Well,
go.
let's start here, Chris. Let's get the road rage going. What's your first grievance here of 2024?
Well, I'm going to take, how do I put this without sounding like an a-hole? Like I'd rather paint.
That's the goal of the show, actually.
Yeah, right.
Basically, then I'd rather paint with a broader brush. If I'm going first, right? Some people might have specific, players or teams. I just want to go in on, the folks, the men and women, the kids, whoever it is that do like rankings and projections, right? Because as a DFS guy, I've been doing this probably, not on and off, but like, let's say about 10 years, maybe 12 years on and off. That's the part of it. And I'm just so tired of, as I said, we're about to complete, we all are about to complete, yet another season. And some of us do this full time. Some of us do this full time with a full-time job. And then we're able to kind of fit in where we can. And I'm just so tired of all the things that go on behind the scenes that people don't see, right? It just like laying in bed at night, you can't sleep and you're thinking, what can I do tomorrow that maybe brings somebody some joy or win somebody some money? And today's day and age of the internet, it's all about talking shit. Who can be first and who can talk the most shit? And some of those people will diagnose themselves. Oh yeah, I don't really care. I just like to talk shit. I want to label myself a troll, and with no form or fashion or feelings about what you're doing to the other person on the end of that text or that DM. And again, I don't want to get into, well, you got to have a thick skin, or you got to say, what, I don't care, I'm just going to just let it be. Well, a lot of folks, if you're a normal regular human being, it will get to you. You do have a heart, you do have a mind, and you do have friends and family that you converse with. But this is like for anybody else. If you're Ryan, I know you're part of the big time rankings. Josh, you might as be well as do. Joe, I don't know if you're a ranker projector.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah. It's a long, arduous, exhausting process, and we keep going regardless of what's going on around us. I can't tell you. I do a single game slate video for DFS purposes. I have done one for Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football. I've even foregone forgotten, some plans so I can do a Thanksgiving video slate or a Christmas Day slate video. And for the most part, they're successful. But what's successful in someone else's mind? It's only as successful as I think it would be here. And I don't care. I've been with a few different reputable websites. I'm with Fantasy Six Pack now. And I don't care if a Thursday Night Football video has 10,000 views or 200 views. I pour my heart and soul into the video, regardless of the format or regardless of who's consuming it. And in today's day and age, as I was alluding to, I don't want to go over my 5 minutes, but I could talk about this.
Just keep going.
Bothered for probably 20 minutes. So you get two types of people, or maybe let's say three. Two of them are kind of the same. You get the person that smiles and says, "Hey, thank you for the content. This is fantastic." Exactly. The same person will go out of their way. How many times have you gotten a comment that says, "I'm not the biggest consumer of your broadcast or your articles, but I just wanted to check in and say I do read it every once in a while. Yeah. It's fantastic." Right? No. Thank you, friend of the show, right? Friend of the broadcast. Yeah. And then you get the asshole. Joe said asshole, so I know I could say asshole. So 4 times.
You say a lot more than asshole. Let me tell you.
Beautiful. So, and then you get that guy who I mentioned at the beginning, guy or girl at the beginning of the broadcast here, goes out of their way to be a jerk, to put you down, to rip holes in the story. And I've always wanted to. Rarely do I fight on social media. What's the point? It's a never-ending cycle of nonsense. You can always spin the narrative to whatever advantage, cherry pick all those, nonsense terms. So why bother? Just, put your head down and keep moving, right? So to me, those are the folks that try to bug and try to, get under your skin. And behind the, right now on camera, right? All sunshine and rainbows. Thanks for having me. This is fantastic. It doesn't bother me, but I'm going to be honest with you. When I spend, 20 hours leading up to Sunday Night Football to put out a video and it gets 200 views, am I bummed out? Yes. But is that video the same quality as every one of mine have been for 4 or 5 seasons in a row? Absolutely. But it does bug me that people, you have, let's say Joe Burrow or Jared Goff, your projections are whacked out, because I'll do that for a single game slate video, my final score, a recent betting trend, and everything else, carries, receptions, touchdowns, yardage. And people love to pick that stuff apart. And that's fine. We can go back and forth. And this is why I think, Burrow's going to throw for 3 touchdowns. Exactly. And then last time I checked, football's 4 quarters. So I'm tired of the bullshit when people at halftime, your final score is way off. You had it going over, and you have the Lions scoring 40 points. It's halftime, and they have 10 points. I can set my fucking watch how many times, those people are nowhere to be found when the game is over.
When the game goes to overtime and it's 80 points.
I'm literally a point off either way at a final score, which is so tough to do. And I've spent so much time not on broadcasts, not writing, honing those skills, right? Saying, what do I got to do to get the score where I want it to be? And I've always respected hard work. And I sound like my late father, who him and I were always on good terms, right? Only child. And I saw, if you would have rewound this thing 20 years ago, I would have been 20 and I would have said, I love my dad. He's a great man, but I'm never going to, sound like him in that sense. But I've always respected hard work. I respect people that get up and do what they love, their passions. How many times, since you started broadcasting like full time, or you have an audience and you're on air and folks come up to you and go, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" Well, I have a full-time job. I work with impaired adults or drug alcohol treatment people, but I broadcast, right? It's fun. I go to the NFL draft. I'll go to a Red Wings game with a press pass. Oh, so it's like you're living your dream. Yes, this is my dream, but it's still hard work. You think you just wake up and poof, your notes appear. You wake up and poof, there's your projection. It takes some time to dig in and do this thing. And I've always disliked, I respect hard work, but I've always disliked people who do nothing and they point the finger at you, right? Your projections suck, your numbers suck. I've said that a few times, but hang with me here. Yes, I would welcome any one of those motherfuckers to come on here with me at any time.
There it is.
And go go head to head with me. And it's not, this isn't Jeopardy. This isn't, let's make a deal. Go head to head with me. And let's start at the beginning of a game. Well, you can pick any game you want and we'll pluck it. I'll give you a few hours to prepare and we'll sit down and we'll go through it. These are the projections. This is the ranking. This is my final score. Every 99.999% of the time, the other person, they'd be either a ghost or they go, oh, yeah. Stutter and stammer. I don't have time for that. I have a family and a full-time job. What the fuck do you think we have? We have full-time jobs. We have families. We do this because we love it. We do this because we enjoy this, and we do it because we respect everybody else around us and the game of football and of hard work. So next time you want to pick up your phone, your dog shit potato phone, and talk shit to me or anybody else and say, hey, I can do that better than you. Fine. You want to fill in for a week at Fantasy Six Pack and take on my schedule. You want to fill in and take on Ryan's schedule, Joe's schedule.
Don't go after Ryan's schedule. He's a stay-at-home dad. He's a trophy husband. Right? Keep him out of this conversation.
Then I'll switch with Ryan. Ryan, we can switch, and I'll have your schedule for a week. Drop the kids off, cook dinner, do laundry, whatever it is.
I would say Josh will at least attest to the amount of work I do for Club Fantasy throughout the week.
Yeah, he does.
Exactly.
Honestly, I feel like he does more than me. And I think even sometimes that's, up for debate because I do so much on the back end. But I just love how like Chris starts this segment and he's like kind of censoring himself and then just goes
by the end of it,
like, fuck it.
all it took was one asshole.
Well, the one thing I wanted to throw out there, though, that Chris is 100% right on.
The people that don't do rankings suck.
The more in depth you go, the more shit you catch for it. If you
100%.
If you do rankings, you catch shit. If you go as far as projections, they're like, well, how did you get that he was only going to carry the ball 13 times? And it's like, well, this is my process. They don't care about your process. And then he carries it 5 or he carries it 26 and I'm an idiot. And it's like, well, was it a normal game? Like
we can only do so much. If seasonal fantasy, dynasty fantasy, we can only do so much. We put people in the best possible situations we can based on our experience, based on what we see, and based on everything that that's culminated to said game that we're getting into.
Exactly.
Right. And it goes back to, we could rewind this. It's 11:18. Rewind this back, Chris. What do you want to talk about? I could have said, I could have phoned it in, but I never do that, right? I could have said, just treat others how you want to be treated. That's all it is. We learn that shit when we're little kids in school. I can't say this enough. I respect folks. I respect the game of football. I respect hard work. And if you got something to say, then say it. I mean, that's never going to go away. This isn't a battle cry or like throwing the first or firing the first weapon on war against trolls, because it's a never ending battle. But to be able to get that off your chest, whether you seek professional help, therapy, which I do, I don't talk like this in my regular, you get what I'm saying. If all you have to do
therapy, Chris,
is get it out in some way.
The segment is sponsored by BetterHelp.
That's fantastic. BetterHelp and dude wipes, because when you're done, you're gonna you go from there. So that's basically all it is. And again, I could keep going on as things start to hit my brain and fire me up. And I'm always prepared for a broadcast, but it's always numbers and players and matchups and things. So I figured I would kind of, whatever happens. But as I said last night, it was not overwhelming. It was an enjoyed rush of what I have to say, but respect others, treat others how you want to be treated, and go from there. And lastly, anytime you want to step in my shoes or anybody else's shoes and take on a week's worth of content, have at it, because it's not a never-ending process, but if you do it the right way, it's going to be long and exhausting. Anytime, just shoot me a DM and we'll go from there. We'll switch spots.
I'm good, Chris. I'm good. You keep doing that and we'll keep doing this. Chris, I just want to thank you for your time. Appreciate you, bud. Our next guest is coming up. So remind everybody where they can find you and everything you're working on, Chris.
I'm on Twitter at Detroit Beastie. All my content is at Fantasy Six Pack. And Fantasy Six Pack, the owner-operator, Joe Bond, was in the race for the number 1 overall.
I was going to say, he was number 1 2 weeks ago. So.
All season.
But he's going to finish second and catch all the shit because he wasn't number 1, right?
Yeah. But that means all that work and everything he does is just bullshit. It's nonsense.
First loser.
Exactly. Appreciate you, Chris. Thank you, man.
You got it.
You're the best, buddy. Have a good day.
All right. That was a fun one.
I don't know that we've ever started a show off with that kind of bang before.
Listen, I've decided I'm keeping my lower third theming to each guest. So I figured Diddy was too much of a line crosser here, so we're just keeping it with. We may switch it up. Who knows? Let's see what he says.
Well, speaking of kids here, Mr. Hutchinson Brown.
Yeah.
How are we doing today, buddy?
What's going on, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so exciting to see y'all.
It's always great to have Hutch on the show.
It's a while since the four of us have actually been on a stream together, because I know the last time, Hutch, it was just like me and either one of Ryan or Joe, one or the other.
I think Ryan was on with us last time we were together. But the last time the four of us were on stream together it's been a little bit.
Well, Hutch has been trying forever to get us on some of his shows, and our schedules never
lined up. We never lined up.
I do want to throw out to Hutch real quick. Joe was missing a show this past week, and someone else offered to come on and be a third with me and Josh. And Josh straight up responds, "Only one person gets to replace Joe, and that's Hutch." So,
wow.
Oh my goodness.
He's too nice. You can't.
Yeah.
I try.
No.
Try.
We'll
Nice.
get him there. And this will be a good start. Hutch, give us your biggest grievances of 2024.
Oh man, so the first thing I want to discuss is not necessarily a take for me, but it was a matchup. So for those who don't know, I'm in the Kings Classic Leagues, which is where Bob Long gathers, some big time analysts at the Fantasy Football Expo, and we get together and we have different drafts. There's a lot of divisions in this league, and I was in the finals in one of these leagues. This is the first time in 3 years I've made the finals, and I was really excited. I've made the semis a couple times, never got the finals. I was in the finals, and I was at work while Monday Night Football was going on, and here's what was happening. My opponent has Isaac Rendo, and he has Jahmyr Gibbs. And there's 3 minutes left in the game, and I'm up by 3 points.
Oh, no.
And it's really close. It's really, really close. And then Jahmyr Gibbs runs for a 30-yard touchdown and seals my fate. And I was so pissed. I was really upset because it was like – because the first half, Jahmyr Gibbs and Isaac Rendo each had a solid points, and it was like, oh, I'm probably cooked here. But the third and most of the fourth quarter were really quiet. Like, it was really quiet for those two guys, and that was looking good. And, ESPN they were favoring me to win by, 70%. Like, I was, favored to win the game. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, I just opened my phone, and I see he has, 180 points, and I'm like, wow. And that's it. Jahmyr Gibbs, 30-yard touchdown. My fate is sealed. And my fate is sealed. I was really, really upset. That one got me. And I was sitting at work. I didn't even get to watch it live. I didn't even get to watch him hurt me live. I was at
We were
work.
both getting Chris in there as he dances on your grave a little bit.
Dude, I love Jahmyr Gibbs, man. He's one of my he was always one of my favorites. You can go back and find my tweets when he was coming out of the draft. I absolutely love the kid. Love him as
Hutch,
a player.
I give you credit every time I think about this. After the draft, when all the cards had fallen, you straight up said Jahmyr Gibbs will be the 101 in Dynasty next year.
That's what I was saying, dude.
Mouth.
Word for word. I did say that. I said he will be a RB1 in Dynasty. I was saying that. And it looks like he might be now. People will put him in that conversation for sure. But yeah, no, that one really hurt me. And I texted my dad. I was like, I will never draft him again.
Oh no.
I probably will because I love him, but man, he really
I certainly will.
That's the first thing that really, really hurt me. And then
that's rough losing on the one of the final plays of Monday Night Football in a championship.
Dude, it sucked so bad. And it also not only in the Kings Classic League, there was another championship I was in where it hurt me too. And it ruined my chances. Yeah. I can't 2 of my 4 championships matchups were ruined by I know people always comment on that. I say kid a lot when it comes to rookies and stuff coming in. I always say kid, and everyone gets on me about that.
You'll grow into it eventually.
Fair.
Yeah,
it's totally fair. I'm younger than these guys.
When Tom Brady retired and I became older than every player in the NFL, I was like, oh, this is a rough moment for me.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Oh, that's awesome. What other grievances you got, Hutch?
Man, some other ones for me. Tank Dell really hurt me, man. I loved Tank Dell heading into the season. He was one of my favorites. I didn't hate Nico. I liked Nico. They were, back-to-back coming into the season. For me, I had Tank Dell slightly ahead. I was really thinking Tank Dell was going to take the jump. I liked the relationship him and CJ Stroud showed, the promise that Dell showed. But it just hurt, man, because he flashed at times when he was healthy. Because at the beginning of the season, that foot injury that he suffered before had really seemed to impact him. It really didn't seem like he was healthy. And the gunshot as well that he suffered, it was at a club that he was at.
Oh my God. I forgot about that.
You forgot that, right? I mean, it was so easy to forget it. But then you remember like, oh shoot, this guy, it was like when Brian Robinson got shot and then he played and he didn't look the same when he came back on the field. It was like, Tank Dell didn't look the same either. And then he finally started to show some flashes like mid-season towards late season. He finally started to do a couple things. He started to look good, especially with Nico out. And then that dislocated knee. I mean, that knee injury was absolutely disgusting. I don't know if you guys have seen
probably
that.
won't see him in 2025 at all.
No, you might not. No. I mean, it was a dislocated key, and then it was like torn at ACL, MCL, like everything. Like his knee is completely
knee was
shot.
absolutely shredded.
Yeah, it was bad. And looking at, him as a player, he depends on that speed and burst athleticism. He's 165 pounds. He's a small dude. If he's not burning you with speed and athleticism, like what is he going to beat you with? Like he doesn't have much else. I love Tank Dell, but because of his lack of size, he's a bit of a, one-trick Coney kind of player. He's dependent on athleticism. He's not going to give you points with size or physical ability if he doesn't have that speed. So I'm really concerned about him heading into next year and future years because
that's what I was going to say is, and obviously players can outgrow the injury prone tag, but we're now dealing with major time missing injuries for him in his first 2 seasons, which are likely to take away his 3rd season at some point. Like we got to be worried about this kid.
65 pounds.
Yeah.
He's not long for this league. I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. It's just the nature of the physicality of this game combined with small physical statures. It just doesn't add up.
Yeah.
It's incredible how Devontae Smith has stayed healthy for most of his career. It's phenomenal.
It's also amazing how many of my stories revolve around Hutch because Hutch, I remember when you took a picture with Devonta Smith and put it up and you had bigger calves than
I had bigger legs than him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my calves were visibly bigger than his. It was pretty hilarious. It was unbelievable. And I was smaller than I am now back then. Like that was a couple years ago.
That was when Hutch was still a high school teenage kid.
That was when I was like 15, 16.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot bigger since then. I've been in the gym.
When you put that picture up, I got worried. Now obviously
I love how he slid. I've been in the gym. Okay.
Yeah, I have.
Right.
I have, man.
Okay,
Yeah, I've been getting bigger since then, man.
All right, Hutch, before we move on to your next one, we do still answer some start-sit questions on here.
Yeah,
we've got one from Chill. You starting Marvin Harrison Jr., Jalen Waddle, or DK Metcalf for the championship?
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
Can I say start the guy in your profile picture and you get the same amount of points? Or
I can't even tell who's in the profile.
it's Julian Edelman.
It's Julian
retired on a podcast.
Yikes. It's not Harrison. It's not Harrison.
Are we sure? Are we positive?
It's not Harrison.
You say that with conviction like DK and Jalen Waddle have been good this year.
No. Like it's funny. Like you're either getting like 20 points with one of them or you're getting like 3. Like there's not much in between for these players most likely. I think I'd go Metcalf. You have the upside for a big play and a touchdown with there. You have the physical size that he has, the ability to make plays downfield better than either of these other two.
Hey,
I'm looking for DK for the big catch.
Hey, real quick, of all these 3, who do we think has the most points scored in fantasy football this year?
Oh, it's Marvin Harrison.
Marvin Harrison.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
It's Marvin Harrison, right? Yeah.
So let's not write him off, all right? He fucking sucks, but he has more points than Jalen Waddle and DK Metcalf.
I mean, Waddle has had a couple injuries here too, but
Waddle also has an issue of being bad, and I think that's the main thing with Jalen Waddle.
I'm definitely not going Waddle. It's between Harrison and DK for me.
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle has been healthy 2 of the last 3 weeks, and he scored 0 points. Fun fact.
Nah, he hasn't been healthy, has he?
Nope.
Seahawks
literally
already
zeros.
have they're already bounced from the playoffs.
They are, yeah. They're not.
So at this point, all DK is trying to do is hit his 1,000 yards.
Yep.
And Gino needs 189,
Gino has yardage,
I think.
yeah.
So
If he throws for a certain amount of yards, he gets some. He gets some.
And the Cardinals are already out of it.
Yep, Cardinals are out of it as well.
I think I'd roll DK.
Rams are sitting all starters as well, though, for the Arizona game.
Yeah, but that could bode well because their secondary is garbage. So Marvin Harrison might see a better corner. As we've
that's
mentioned,
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Harrison, actually. I think the rookie on a disappointing season has the most to prove in week 18. I'm I'm going to go
That's
Harrison
fair.
against San Francisco because they're also
I-
not playing anything.
I didn't think about the Rams benching starters this week. That is a really, really good point.
Yeah, it makes DK a
I
lot
think
more
he-
interesting. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough.
Harrison.
So I want to bring this up really quick from Danny Finch fan because we're very much avoid week 18 playoff matchups.
Yes.
The 2-week
We're very
championship
much in
is
that camp.
crazy.
All right.
I don't mind that.
But
I don't like that it bleeds into week 18.
And Chill does mention it is a 2-week championship, which again sucks for you.
Yeah, that's
Try to work with your league to get away from this because
Yeah,
you're
that's-
dealing with so many different things in week 18.
Yeah.
Honestly, at this point, you're dealing with a lot of things in week 17 too.
I'm going to throw something. I'm going to throw something out there that is controversial, and it's a decision I made in the last 5 minutes.
Okay.
It's actually more than the last 5 minutes. We got a question on one of my retweets yesterday that the great Stefania Bell actually answered about a week 18 championship. And the guy mentioned he cut all of his players who weren't going to play. I'm changing my mind. I like the gamesmanship of a week 18 2-week championship. I don't like a 1-week championship. I like a 2-week where week 17, you're starting your studs, and week 18, you are going fucking wild. I actually like it. I am on board.
Ryan just likes chaos.
No.
I love
No.
chaos.
I
don't like
You're
it because-
100. Josh said it completely right.
If-
I am an agent of chaos.
If my league that is for $1,000 is up and I'm playing fucking Elijah Moore in my
Love
starting
it.
spot,
Love it.
and fucking is Preston Williams still a Dolphin? Who the hell is like? Who am I playing at that point? No,
because
no,
the
thank
thing-
you.
The problem is because if you're playing in week 18, you're punishing your league. You're punishing your league for drafting good players on good teams. Like that's kind of because all those players are going to
Yeah.
be benched.
You're also rewarding the best manager who is paying attention and is like, look, week 18, Michael Carter, starter for the Arizona Cardinals, about to feast. I held Blake
that.
Corum.
I do
for
not
week
support this.
18, baby.
I do not support this.
I'm with it. I'm now fully on board.
Okay,
I'm changing.
great.
Ryan's
my
gonna
league.
change the
Start a
rules
league.
of our freaking
You
Writers
guys,
league.
you guys better never let me
Hey.
win the Flex Writers League again because you get to change one rule if you win. And
Oh,
guess
shoot.
what that rule's gonna be?
Hey,
Week
hey,
18.
you and
Oh,
you and Chill can start a fantasy league together. All right, you
Yep.
guys, and the rule is punters and backups. Those are the only draft picks that you can have.
Yep.
Hunters and
It's
backups.
it's Torrey Taylor and only backups.
Yeah. Don't let me win that Writers League again because that will be the rule change.
Well, that's always the goal. Never let you win.
That's true. Yeah.
All right, I want to bring a couple of grievances here from the chat. Joe says his biggest grievance is all of his bonehead moves that cost him games early in the season. I think we can all kind of relate to that one.
Yep.
Taking Brees in the first instead of a wide receiver.
Oh.
Oh, you shouldn't have taken a wide receiver. You should have taken Saquon.
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
That's really what it
Saquon.
should have been. I
Yeah.
agree, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of those first round wide receivers that
That did not
ended
work.
up getting hurt. That did
Yeah.
not work out. Yeah, exactly.
It's a weird year
Um,
for wide receivers, like injury wise. Like
Yeah.
it felt like
Yeah.
the running back position a little bit. It was kind of odd.
But I think this is probably one of my favorite grievances, and only because we just love inflating Ryan's ego. Not listening to Ryan preseason and drafting Bijan at the 104.
Yeah.
That was the guy I was right on. I mean, not that it was hard to be right on Bijan Robinson, but
No, it wasn't. No.
well, but let's remember why I got so high on Bijan Robinson, and that's called coach speak. CMC roll, and I was hook, line, and sinker. It was over. For
it
me
did
at
start that
point.
way.
It
It
did.
started
It did
really
not start
badly.
that way.
It started really badly, and then he had like I think
Yeah.
it was against Carolina. He had a 2-touchdown game, and then from there it was just like it was over.
Yeah.
he had the roll.
Oh, man. So another question from Joe. He's got Corum on his taxi squad. He's got Kieran. Obviously, Kieran's sitting in preparation for the playoffs. Would you
Yep.
play Corum over Alexander Madison? The
Absolutely,
Raiders
Every
going
day
against the
week.
Chargers.
100%. Corum
because Corum is a very good.
Corum is the anchor of every one of my DFS lineups this week.
Yeah, well, and
Yeah,
you know, when Austin's cash game article drops, spoiler alert, that is the chalk play this week, Blake Corum. So
Yeah.
he's gonna be a monster.
there
It's
you
so
go.
frustrating to me that he hadn't got more volume because when you watch them both play, I think it's pretty clear that he's as good, if not better, than Kyron. Like he looks.
Whoa.
He looks
Time will
phenomenal.
tell.
He looks
Time will
phenomenal.
tell.
And
Joe,
Kyron
you
looks
can
fine.
you can safely drop Alexander Madison.
Yeah.
Well, Amir Abdullah out this week, so he may be the only back getting carries unless they're finally going to let
targets
Dylan
too,
Love.
man. And targets.
Joe.
Those running backs have been getting a ton of targets.
Joe, look at me. You can safely drop Alexander Madison. Okay?
He's not wrong.
2.2 yards per carry. I don't even know if that's accurate. Just feels right. So,
I feel high.
I mean, remember when he was supposed to take over in Minnesota?
Yeah, right. Oh man,
That was really
all right,
bad.
Hutch. We appreciate you, bud.
As always.
Remind everybody where they can find you and everything that you got going on.
Yeah, y'all can follow me on Twitter. I'm at HutchinsonB_FF. Also with a similar handle on Blue Sky. I think HutchinsonB.bluesky.social.
Blue Sky's a thing? Really? Are we doing
Yeah.
this?
I think it's still a thing. It's still a thing.
Okay.
And I do
All right.
I do a lot of work with football guys and make a lot of work with their social media channels, do some writing for them. I also at the DLF Dynasty podcast, and make sure you check that all out. And then I host Hooked on Fantasy with Luke Sawhook. So yeah. And thank you guys for having me on the show to air out my fantasy grievances.
Anytime, Hutch. Anytime. Appreciate you, bud.
Absolutely. Have a great one, Hutch. Have a nice
You
weekend.
too, guys. See ya.
All right. So usually we bring on one guest at a time, but we got some family members waiting on. So go ahead and bring in our WAF co-founder Faith, and of course
guys.
Joel, our co-host with Dynasty After Party. Let's see if I can.
What's up? What's up?
Here we go.
Hello.
Yeah, you gotta make sure I'm in the middle.
Of course you do. Joel, my first question to you is, what is the temperature at your house? And Ryan, same question to you.
Sure, don't
Probably
ask me. That's
mid-20s. I just got done shoveling, so my hair probably looks great.
Yeah, it's
What hair? Hold on.
I think that was the joke, Joe.
Oh,
It's-
I don't know.
21, and last time I checked, the real feel is 3.
Ha! I'm 20. Suck it, losers.
All right, it's 60 here. My windows are open.
Yep.
Nice.
Congrats.
58 for me. Fucking
That's
freezing.
because you're 2 hours north, dummy.
I'm in sweatpants and a hoodie, and I'm like
Guys.
still cold.
Guys,
Josh, you're
I-
in sweatpants and a hoodie in the middle of the summer because you keep your house at like
I said-
12 degrees.
I'm in shorts right now, and we'll happily go outside in these shorts. I'm that guy.
I'm angry nobody looks at my lower thirds quick enough when I change them. Okay? That's what I'm mad about.
I like how it went from children to women.
Yes, because who's on the stream now, Faith? A woman.
Did you have a
All right.
child on the stream before?
Yes, I said Kyle Shanahan hates kids. That's Hutchinson Brown. He is a child.
Joe,
Forever.
to the rest of us in this room, you are a child.
Yeah, so he hates me
Those are
too.
facts.
Yeah,
There you go.
but I can make ditty
The
jokes.
theme
when
of
Hutch
this show
on.
is Kyle Shanahan hates everybody.
That's right.
Joe, don't make no. Don't no.
Why? It
Don't
would have
make-
been. I would have had
no.
a ditty joke right under my initials,
No.
Jay-Z. It would have worked out perfectly.
No.
All right, what's up, guys? How we doing?
So I just wanted to follow up on Ryan's thing about the 2-week championship.
God,
Hear me
get out
out.
of here.
Hear me
No.
out.
No.
You play week 17 with your regular players. Then everybody else in the league dumps their teams. And you do a draft of basically a DFS draft of
I love
whatever's
it.
left to fill out your week 18 rosters, and you do a 2-week total point championship.
No.
I hate you
Interesting.
both right now.
I
hate
love
you
it.
both right now.
I know. I think,
Um,
no.
Kelly, don't get any bright ideas. Kelly, I love you. Remember this.
Oh God, I forgot. That's what I should
Yeah.
do. Is campaigning the winner.
Kelly's going to
You
do
know
an all
she's just
tight
going
end.
to
league.
add
You know
like
that.
a
It's gonna be
permanent
an all
tight
tight
end
end.
spot
Yeah.
in the lineup, right?
Or that Joel's right. It'll just be all tight ends.
So we have to do things within rules. You can't do that of all tight ends, but it could be that she adds a tight end spot to an all flex league, which makes it interesting. So,
That's
Or else it's an
true.
all Cardinals draft or something like that.
ooh,
Last year, I tried to let Ryan. Was it the Dynasty League that
yes,
I wasn't in?
that you were that was inspired by you, where you had the craziest scoring. that
I
has
just
ever
went
existed.
ham. And Ryan's
She
like,
just started
"We'll do some
typing
of this,"
it-
but no.
She started typing in numbers in like random. So like touchdown passes were 50 points, and I'm like, okay, we got
Why not?
back up here.
It's all relative. What
It
are
But
wasn't,
both were
though.
like
That's
negative
the problem.
25.
But then like yeah, like it was like touchdowns were 50, interceptions were negative 25, but then yardage like she didn't change. So like the yardage meant nothing
It was
in the
chaos.
grand scheme.
It's all
It was
it's all
pure
relative. It's like,
chaos.
whose line is it anyway? Where the points don't matter. I mean, that's
Exactly.
essentially that's
Everything's
what it
made
is.
up and the points don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
This is-
Joel, you took down that league, or Was that Chris Molina's league? That was Chris Molina. Yeah.
Yep.
You guys are in
That's
too
why
many
he had
fucking
no
leagues.
grievances to air.
Exactly. Chris didn't even join the show this week. He said,
He's
"Nah,
like,
fam."
I have no grievances. Shut
He had
up.
a hell of a season, and he had a baby this year. Like Chris is riding high from 2024. He can't bring any negative energy into his life.
I mean, he's a Yankees fan, so
Oh,
Yeah, there's definitely
that's a
some
good
heartbreak
point.
there.
I saw a thing that if you replayed the Yankees game and started it at like 8:47, then Aaron Judge would drop the ball for you at midnight.
well, it's dropping
hate
the
the
ball in
internet.
New York is
I
kind of
hate
a
the
signature
internet.
way to ring in the new year. So
I mean,
my favorite part is that Josh is a Yankees fan.
I was gonna say,
I hate you.
I would
all.
I would have rather seen the Yankees win than the Dodgers.
That's fair. I agree wholeheartedly.
Shohei Ohtani had a lot of money on that game.
No. Shohei's bookie. Come on. He
His translator.
He didn't
Exactly.
spend the $4 to $8 million. Okay.
Show
All right, let's get this show a little bit back on track. Let's start.
My grievance is Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah,
There you
bring,
go.
You
Perfect.
bring the
There you
family
go.
on, and we just don't talk about anything.
Bring the family on, and everything goes out.
Hey,
the window.
this isn't my job. This guy's the host today. That's not my job.
I'm the host, yeah. I'm the
Yeah.
host.
Yeah.
I'm
Biggest
gonna-
grievances this year.
I would have reined it all back in because that's what I do best.
No,
But
I'm in the middle. I'm just leaning back.
my grievance is my Scott Fishbowl team.
So your grievance is you?
Shut up. No, my grievance is my Scott Fishbowl team and injuries. Okay.
Who drafted it?
They should, on paper, fantastic. In practice,
And if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. I mean, on paper, it sounds awesome.
Good Lord.
All it sounds like is 60 degrees and crying in Florida right now. That's all it sounds like. Like I said, I'm leaning back right now. I'm gonna drink my tea, which is water.
Any more grievances, Faith?
Joe.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I'm surprised my name hasn't popped up in the chat yet. Can't get rid of me, bitches. Yeah. Get your ass in the basement, Ryan.
Now, Faith, I remember in Scott Fishbowl, you were proudly
let's talk about this strategy, shall we?
were proudly the earliest drafter of Brock Bowers.
I sure was.
Do you now regret that title? Because if you had waited 2 rounds like me,
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Because Saletto said that if I hadn't taken him, he was taking him in the next round, and it wouldn't have made it back to me.
okay,
Wasn't-
that's fair.
Wasn't he the tight end one? Am I missing something here?
That she
I just took him in the third round.
early. Yeah, she took him
Okay.
2 rounds before anybody else did. So
Isn't it a tight end premium?
100%.
Okay, what am I missing here? That's fine.
That she could have gotten someone better in the 3rd round, not than Bowers, and then took Bowers in the 4th round or 5th round and had a better team. I'm just saying.
I took Chelsea in the 3rd round. That didn't work out at all.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
clearly, yeah. I mean, that's what you get. Take a better player in the 3rd round.
Yeah, like
Oh.
a quarterback, or it's also super flex. Okay, Joe. Never mind.
This
Jesus
guy.
Christ.
Joe's
You know,
just playing the antagonist this
Yeah,
morning.
I am. I
This is what Joe does. Every
think-
I
show
mean,
he
it
does.
is, but he's like,
listen.
he's on
listen.
some extra this morning.
Look, I think it would have been better for
Something
Faith to
that
take
water.
I think it would have been better for Faith to take a guy like C.J. Stroud or Jordan Love or Caleb Williams in the 3rd round. Those guys panned out well.
Let me throw this out there. My first 2 quarterbacks
Kirk
were
Cousins.
Dak Prescott and Trevor Lawrence, and I still made it to the quarterfinals.
Well, Ryan, not all of us are as good as you. Okay.
That's true. Thanks, Joe. I think we can end the show there. I mean,
So my problem was taking Patrick Mahomes in the 1st round.
yeah.
My 2 starting quarterbacks were Mahomes and Herbert. I mean, they weren't terrible.
Well, Herbert
Ryan,
took
remember
time,
that
yeah.
stat from Wednesday on the greatest quarterback of our generation, Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, 39th in ADOT.
No, he's 54th in ADOT, which is the lowest of any starting quarterback in the NFL. There's 32 teams, folks. 32 fucking teams. Add the UFL teams, he's still fucking lower than all of them. That's crazy. So,
All right,
Faith,
Joel's turn.
you fumbled that bag on Mahomes. That's
Yeah.
that's on you.
A lot of people
Hi-
did though. So.
Hi, Joel. Are you
What's
upset? Are you upset the Packers play in the best division in the NFL?
It happens. I mean, we knew that coming in, so that was not really a big surprise.
Well, there was a lot of talk that all 4 teams from
We
the
knew the
North
division was going to be
could have
really
a
good.
shot.
Yeah. Plus
The
Chicago.
only surprise is that the Bears are as
The
bad
problem was a lot of people thought Chicago would also be one of those playoff teams. And that
I
never
thought
happened.
Chicago would be middling, and technically they are. I'm shocked
Well,
at
they're
how
worse
good.
than middling, Ryan.
What's their record?
4-13.
Oh, there's
They're
another
worse
team.
than middling.
There's another team out there that had more wins. I thought it was Chicago. I'll have to go look at the standings. There was somebody I was surprised they had 8 wins or 6 or 7 wins, and I was shocked. Regardless, Minnesota surprised me, Joel, mainly because I thought we were coming into this thing with J.J. McCarthy. I wasn't sure how a rookie quarterback. I understood they had Justin Jefferson, but what I didn't see was Brian Flores' defense. So I guess that's why I didn't think it was going to be that great. I knew Packers and Detroit were good. So
Yeah, I thought the Vikings defense would be pretty bad too, just because like Flores' defense they're good the first couple of weeks and then people catch on and they kind of go to shit. But it's obviously the upgrades are made with Grenard and Van Ginkel and Blake Cashman. The guys they brought in really fit that system, and it's been like a year-long solid defense. So yeah, I did not see coming, but I thought Minnesota would be good. Like Kevin O'Connell's just a good coach. It sucks. I hate it, but he's really effing good.
He's a really good coach.
I want to throw out, it was the Cowboys. I thought they were way worse than what they were, and they're a 7-win team right now, and that threw me off. I knew it was someone in the NFC. So
Micah Parsons got healthy, and defense started to actually show some life.
Yeah.
They had a cupcake schedule outside of their division, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That too.
Joel, are you going to the draft this year?
I don't know. Maybe it's like
I really
that close. It's still like a 2-hour drive. So.
I really hope.
it's
I really
limbo.
hope that Wisconsin pulls a Wisconsin and it blizzards at the end of April. That would be the cherry on fucking top. That would be awesome.
I've seen 2 inches. The year I moved out of Minnesota, we got 2 inches of snow on May 2nd. So it's not.
And that's a lot when some say too much when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean it wouldn't be unprecedented. Also, say that much.
Joseph.
We talk about Ryan being an agent of chaos. Look at Joe over here dropping fucking snow bombs on.
Yeah.
In Bismarck, North Dakota, on April 25th, we got a 27-inch blizzard. It can happen. It can happen, and I will hope it happens.
My favorite Joe Zollo Bismarck, North Dakota to Boston, Massachusetts story was negative 55.
Oh, I remember that.
Feels like to 50 degrees in Boston.
Fuck that.
105-degree difference. Yeah.
Fuck
Awesome.
that.
Yeah.
My parents are flying to Boston at the end of January for my great aunt's 90th birthday, and I'm gonna freeze.
We still have not let Joel give a grievance here. We put one on him. Let this man cook.
But Craig's in Canada, and that's news to us. Go ahead,
So I
Joe.
guess mine is the obvious one in that in the season that like everyone basically in the community not named Joe Zollo finally came around to 0 RB, and this was the year of the running back renaissance, and every wide receiver either got hurt or sucked or got a little too chubby. Go high Tyreek Hill, and all the tight ends were terrible.
Joel, are you
and
fat shaming?
Are we?
No.
Hold on. Are we shitting on the 0 RB strategy, or are we shitting on me? I'm confused.
No, I'm just saying it was
Joel
when
is
everyone
very
came
pro
around
0
to
RB,
it.
so
When everyone came around to it, we just had the most anti-0 RB season of all time possible, and it feels.
And now everyone's gonna swear it off for eternity. Except,
And
for
I
the
hope they
diehards.
do, because it's going to be great next year when when Saquon Barkley's coming off a career high in touches with the entire playoffs still to come, and he just takes a shit next year. But that's fine.
Yeah, that's why.
That evil on my
draft him
team.
101.
That's why
Please
Kieran
draft him
Williams is going
don't
to
you
be the
put that voodoo
RB1.
on me, Ricky Bobby.
I'm actually with Joel on that one though. I have seen the way too early 2025 mock drafts, and someone even brought this up on a show I've done in the last week. That Saquon should be the 101, and I'm like, the history of 300 touch running backs and their
You mean
next
400
380?
touch running back?
I know, but the rule is the 300 touch.
Yeah.
The history of 300 touch running backs and their failures the next season is long, and there is zero chance. And I think it was who did the show with me on Wednesday? It was me and Joe, right?
Yeah, in our life since 01, nobody has repeated as the RB1.
And
Yeah, I think
so
Priest Holmes was the last one.
The
right?
last one was Priest Holmes.
yeah, we got the option. We got
insane
we got the
insane
question of Gibbs or Bijan at 101. And someone in the chat was like, well, what about Saquon? And for me, I'm like, no, to me, it is Gibbs or Bijan. I know it's not that for Joel. So Joel, who is your 101?
Yeah, I've seen some suggestion that Saquon would be the consensus 101 in best ball next year. I think that's insane. Please do. For me, it's Chase. I think Bijan's in the conversation, but I think it's pretty easily Chase.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be
too would
Barkley
go
by
Bijan.
default.
Yeah, people are always going to go with the the previous season's RB1. That's why CMC keeps being the 101. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. Like, I don't love it, and I'm happy that they're planning on sitting him week 18, even though I'd very much love to see him break Dickerson's record. But the playoffs are what's more important here. Like, we're trying to win a Super Bowl, plain and simple. His skill set is very much 101 worthy. Not denying that any way, shape, or form, but you do have to factor in the level of touches. I mean, it's unreal. Like 400 touches.
He's also a guy who's only had like 2 full seasons in his entire career. This will be the third.
And that's the other side.
He's
of it
always
too.
missed multiple games, and this year he just didn't. So
he had an offensive line that allowed him to run 4 yards downfield without being touched instead of 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, that offensive line is not going anywhere next year either. Like I still think Saquon can be a top 5 back at minimum, at least in points per game. Whether he ends up missing, 2 or 3 games is a different story. But like I still would rather play it safe with someone like a Bijan. I think Gibbs is more that sort of upside play because of how electric he is in limited touches. Like it is very like Alvin Kamara, Jamal Charles kind of player, where they can do so much damage with so little touches. But as long as he splits carries with David Montgomery, we're never going to see the true ceiling of Jahmyr Gibbs, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I see Craig put a question, would you even draft a quarterback first? Obviously
No.
in Superflex, yes, but in single QB, no, you just don't have to.
Nope.
Right? I mean, we've seen, even go back a couple years, like in best ball when Patrick Mahomes would go in the first round. It just, you don't need to, because there's going to be better options. There's going to be just as good options. You got Hurts, Lamar, Allen, all those guys are viable. Jaden Daniels, they're all going to be viable QB1s. So you don't need to do it with the quarterback in the first.
So I'll pose this question then. I'll pose this question because we're doing our way too early mock draft. With the quality of quarterbacks, we always say this every year, don't draft one early. Inevitably, somebody's going to go early. Does the top tier kind of getting bunched together a little bit more, does that drop the value of that top tier? And maybe we're not reaching for Josh Allen in the 3rd round if you actually do want a quarterback early.
No, people are still going to be stupid. I was just forgetting the humanity aspect of this.
We're not, but the average league is. Now, we haven't had given Faith time to talk in a second. Faith, with the season Brock Bowers just put together, does this bring him to a Travis Kelce echelon for you? Are you going to grab Brock Bowers in the 1st round of drafts to make sure you get him next year?
I mean, I knew this was going to happen. To know me is
trying to be unbiased here, Faith.
I was going to
say no.
To know me is to know that I'm a UGA fan, and then know that I'm a Brock Bowers fan. And Joe, much to your chagrin, I would.
That's so stupid.
You're stupid.
I think there's an argument you can make for Bowers in that his lack of touchdowns was more offense dependent, not like Trey McBride being absolutely allergic to the end zone. That's a Trey McBride problem. Like Bowers' problem could be offense dependent. And so if they get a better quarterback, if they sign a Sam Darnold or something like that and get a functional offense, just clean house on the entire coaching staff, now you unlock some touchdown upside. And then he is legitimately worth a 1st round pick.
Yeah, if he had more touchdowns, Brock Bowers gives that Travis Kelce point advantage. So
we're talking Travis Kelce before, like,
yes, not 2024 Travis
not
Kelce.
Current Travis Kelce. Current Travis Kelce counts up.
Yes, no.
Yeah, but I mean, that the Raiders are going to get a quarterback upgrade, right?
Yeah.
Do we?
But is the rookie that they ultimately end up getting, hopefully, maybe, who knows, is that going to be like a massive step up from the Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, to where, he has that 10 touchdown upside that, could potentially put him in that, cheat code level of advantage at the position?
Well, looking at the rankings right now, there is still an advantage, but the problem is there's a 3-person advantage, and a 3-person advantage takes away from anyone's advantage, because then you're just going to take the cheapest one. Now, the question is, do we think George Kittle can repeat next year, as he's the oldest of this group? But Brock Bowers, George Kittle, and Trey McBride have a 3-point per game advantage over the tight end 4 And then David Njoku had a hell of a season, but I guess the real tight end 10 has a 9 points per game. That's a 6-point advantage that the top 3 tight ends give you. So the question is, the real question is, do we think Bowers is that much better than Trey McBride? Do he and McBride both belong in the second round? Like it's super interesting. And I guess the mock draft on Monday will answer a lot of that.
Jonnu Smith was undrafted and is the tight end 4. That is my rest case on why
I wanted
don't
to go
draft
back,
a tight end.
It's a good point, Joe, because I wanted to go back to what started this whole argument. So Craig mentioned he started the season with Prescott and Hurts. He ended up using Mayfield and Herbert. Now in Superflex, Mayfield and Herbert were being drafted, but they were like 3rd, 4th, 5th round picks still. Is there something for Joel not taking a quarterback early in Superflex and letting it fall to you 2 or 3 rounds later?
I mean, it's hard for me to get out of my dynasty mindset with this, but it's possible. Man, once you're digging in that lower tier, it's a crapshoot, right? And now you're kind of gambling. You talk about Jonnu Smith, like, yeah, those guys are probably out there, but there's 50 of them. So are you really confident that you can find the one who actually comes through and has a productive season? That's where if you feel it, go for it. Yeah, but I do
at quarterback. I don't at tight
end.
Yeah, I do at quarterback. I don't at tight end. I mean, I'll stream tight end if I have to, but at quarterback, like I was high on Mayfield and Josh was high on Justin Herbert. Like, so in a 1 QB league, now I don't know if Josh, I would have been really interested to know if you had Herbert in a 1 QB early in the season, how long you would have rode with him. Cause he started slow, but got better. So
yeah. He was somebody that I was always like, if I like in a 12 team or something, like if I'm going to stash a backup, like I might go for like a Jaden Daniels and then pair him with like a Justin Herbert. Like that was kind of my mindset when it came to that. So as a backup, no, I probably wouldn't have. I probably would have cut bait and, use that for depth at running back or wide receiver or something like that. But then, of course, he was featured on your stream of the week. So it's not really any different than, hey, let me pick him up for this week. Oh, he's getting a little hot. Okay, I'll hang on to him for a couple of weeks. And, it's just that bottom portion of like the top 10 at quarterback, it's very interchangeable, right? Like those really are your streaming options, even if, things kind of work the way that they should work, right? Like, those guys are going to be interchangeable. I mean, we were streaming Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield early in the season until they became reliable starters.
It's true.
I'm going to bring this up from Joe really quick before anything, because I know this has kind of been a hot button topic. Chase Brown playing today. They're saying everything that I've read. Now, anybody on the panel, correct me if I'm wrong, is that he is a true game time decision. Has anybody heard differently?
Nope. That's exactly what I heard.
Nope.
Okay, so you're probably
I'm not trusting him. There's no way.
Joe, you're probably looking at, I'd say, an hour and a half before game time, so probably around 3 p.m. or so.
The last thing I read was that he's testing it in pregame, and that's going to make the decision.
This feels very much like a James Conner situation to me.
Yep.
From last week.
I'm not playing him.
Nah.
But you're also not playing
Herbert season.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not but even I'm talking DFS.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not playing him in DFS.
No, this is actually going to cause me to go build some, and they're not even that wild of DFS lineups, but maybe even some prop bets. I think this might be a game where they just say, fuck it, we ball with Joe Burrow, and he slings this ball 50 times in this game. So
the Khalil Herbert slander is just.
I know, Joel. I'm sorry.
Visual.
Joel, the Bears didn't even want Khalil Herbert. The Bears.
I understand.
Yeah.
I just think, like, I've been doing a bunch of best ball drafts for Saturday, and like Khalil Herbert's barely getting drafted. So it's like,
throw him in there, light him up.
He can still be a value at where he's going, and
that's
DFS at his price point. He can, like, you don't need to be elite.
Well, especially in a best ball format, but.
I mean, he's projected 0.2, so maybe he'll get 0.4. Like, he could double up his projections. Who knows?
Goodness.
But, I mean,
could even triple it.
If people are relying on those projections and they're not taking him or not putting him in their lineups, and he gets 8 to 10 points even just on volume, that's still extremely valuable for his price point. Or
yeah, for a Saturday only draft as your like last draft pick. I agree with Joel on that.
Every winning DFS ticket I've ever seen has some fucking schlub that some dude put $1,000 on for some reason, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna keep bringing up this fucking guy. I had Preston Williams in my DFS lineup. No, you fucking didn't. You had 700 other ones, and this one happened to hit. So.
The Millie Maker last week had Juwan Johnson and Tyler Conklin, a 2 tight end build.
Obviously.
With those 2 tight ends.
Yeah, me and my one bet of $20 is definitely doing a Juwan Johnson and Tyler Conklin hit.
That's what Austin yells at me about every week on the show. He's like, he's trying to get it into my head. He's like, Ryan, your one lottery ticket is never going to build a weird enough lineup.
Some fucking Saudi Arabian billionaires like, oh yeah, let's put Juwan Johnson and Tyler Conklin in my 700th ticket this week. Okay.
Either that or somebody with a severe gambling problem.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-ADMIT-IT.
Look at there. There you go, Faith.
or double down.
No, shut up.
Shut
up. Donovan says all the
We're trying to be responsible gamblers here.
Donovan says
double down and try again.
Donovan says all the time that the people who lose at gambling just got out too early.
Scared money don't make money.
Donovan, what are you teaching your son?
Although the proper betting techniques. Betting techniques.
I have to say, it was
always one bet away.
A lot of people, but Donovan's Christmas present to his father was top tier.
Yeah, we're not going to share that on the show.
Look.
No, I showed my dad though. He thought it was fantastic.
Could turn that $20 into $2,000.
He said
that parlay.
What is it? His exact quote is, I think 90% of gamblers get out before they win big.
Yeah,
because they lose all their money first.
That's not his point.
It's like digging for diamonds. You could be 1 inch away from $1 million, or 1,000 inches away from $1.
There you go.
Goodness.
Speaking of which, there's a park in Arkansas I want to go dig for.
There you go.
With that, Joel, one last grievance or
me?
This is more of a big picture NFL thing, but I think it speaks to it has to. We have to pay attention to it in fantasy. Is that parity's dead? Like, this is a very stratified NFL right now, and it's very much along organizational lines. Good organizations do well, bad organizations do shit. Look at the draft this year. It's like even the teams that had high picks and hit on those picks, Raiders, Giants, Jaguars, they're still terrible this year. So, and I think the schedule has kind of shown that. And Josh, you referred to it earlier. Like, the last 2 weeks have been just terrible games in which we should be seeing a lot of, like playoff previews or games with 2 teams that have playoff aspirations. And it's just been nothing. It's just been absolutely garbage. So I think we kind of need to like break ties in favor of team or players on good organizations. Like next year, I'm going to have to think hard between Amon-Ra St. Brown and CeeDee Lamb, just because I know Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to be playing games that matter for 17, 18 weeks. And CeeDee Lamb might be getting shut down with some phantom shoulder injury. I don't know. Shit. Maybe it's a legit injury. I don't want to,
Great point.
We're pro player, but these players on bad teams, just, it may not matter for them the last couple of weeks when it's the most important in fantasy. So I think that's something we need. It may be a 1-year blip, but I don't think so, because it has broken down along organizational lines. So I think this is probably here to stay.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Joel, remind everybody where they can find you and everything you're working on.
At the Joel Worth on the Twitter and on the Blue Sky. And the Dynasty shows are kind of on hiatus because we're in the middle of the Dynasty offseason until the playoffs are over. And the Sleeper and MFL kind of restart things for 25, but we'll be back in full force once things get started again after the Super Bowl.
Boom. There you go. All right. Appreciate you, Joel.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you later.
See you. All right. Faith said she's going to stick around for our next guest, who first time.
Hold on.
Let me interrupt. Marlia got home early and brought food, and I didn't eat breakfast. So since Faith is going to stick around, I'm actually going to bounce out.
Hi, Marlia. Tell her we said hi.
Because I can smell burgers in the background, and I am starving. So I do want you to bring Herms on so I can say hi.
What'd you say, Josh?
He called me lame.
Oh.
So.
Herms for the first time on a Club Fantasy show.
Yes.
What up, man?
What's up, buddy?
What up? What up? Also, I don't blame anybody for picking burgers over me. That's a good choice.
Well, I
That's
wanted
a
to get you
really
on so I could
smart
at least say
choice.
hi. I'd say we've never done a show together, so I was like, well, let me get him on here so I can at least say hi. But I didn't. As we were starting the show, I realized I didn't eat breakfast, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so fucking hungry. And now there's food, and Faith is staying, and the screen looks so much better with 4 people than 5 people, so it's easy for me to go ahead and exit. Joe will take care of one of my grievances later, but I do want to point out,
Will I?
God damn, yeah, with the Kyle Shanahan that you just
sure,
been shitting on this whole
yeah.
time. But how did Caleb Williams fumble this so terribly with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze? Cole Kmet was supposed to be a breakout candidate after a good, like, my biggest grievance is Caleb Williams and just making me look silly. I was way too bought in, but I want to
thought I would see the day that Cole Kmet
would get positive
praised
mention. Yeah.
by Club Fantasy.
No, thank you to all the
No, he's
viewers.
not.
Thank you to you guys. Herms, pleasure to meet you. I'm going to get you on a show where I do more time with you. But like I said, since there's already going to be 4, I'm going to bounce out. You guys have a great one. All
Tell
right.
Marley I said hi. I don't care about
Absolutely.
the others.
Enjoy
Bye.
stuffing your face.
I will.
All
You
right.
can leave. Okay.
I was like, are
All
you
right,
leaving?
there we go.
Or
I'm like, I'm just waiting for him.
You can leave.
All right, Herms, let's kick it off. Biggest grievance of 2024.
My biggest grievance is when I come on shows and people are like, "Oh, burgers are here, so I have to leave." You know, like that's. I think like I understand. Like we're all hungry, we all have things to do, but I agreed to be here for the. That's.
I know.
No, I kind of piggybacking off of something that was said before about like the possibility of like a CeeDee Lamb being shut down late in the season, or like when Chuba Hubbard got hurt or whatever. I saw a bunch of people being like, well, we got to move up the championships to week 16 to make it fair for everybody now, blah, blah, blah. And it reminds me of people who place wagers on, different like stat props or whatever, and then get mad when the player gets hurt and then just like tweet at the sports book, like, you have to cancel these bets. You have to cancel these bets. It's like, players getting hurt is not like this happens. You have to be like, it's a feature of the game. It's not a bug, like the variance of it kind of makes the whole thing fun. So like, it sucks when your players get hurt, but we shouldn't dramatically change the entire thing because your specific team got screwed over. Like, I just think that's a bit of a ridiculous thing to me.
gamble responsibly.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Or
I get
double
being
down.
annoyed by it, or double down, or triple down in certain cases,
Yeah.
depending on how certain you
Take
feel.
out a second
But-
mortgage. Who's it hurting? Who's it hurting?
Joe over here pretending like he's working for a bank.
Money is
I'm gonna call
guys.
Maggie and make sure all of the finances are
Money
in
is
her name.
fake. It's all fake. All right. It's just paper. Print it. It's not illegal to print money. Go watch Good Girls on NBC. They teach you how to do it.
I think the FBI would disagree.
They're not listening. I don't see any drones over my house.
Oh my goodness.
They're invisible,
Oh,
Joe.
goodness.
That's the point.
Oh man, Mr. Magic's biggest grievance: never drafting Pooper Cup ever again. What a season for
Okay,
Mr. Pooper Cup.
oh, dang it, that word association.
I mean, he was poopy. Pooper Cup.
No, it's pooping cups.
Yeah.
If you were around in the early 2000s, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. YouTube.
I hate you, Mr. Magic. Thank
Oh,
you for
man.
that.
What happened?
Any other grievances, Terms?
Oh, yeah, okay.
I was gonna Google it. Jeez.
One of the things that I think really bothers me, I'm starting to find out most of our dynasty leagues that we're in are only going to last maybe like 3 years max. Like, this happens. So this idea of building these aggressively young teams and being like, but the upside is going to be tremendous, blah blah. Like, your league's going to be over in like a year and a half. Just try and win. Like, it doesn't matter if players are old. Okay, you only get like a short window to actually win titles and win the prizes from your leagues and stuff. So just go for it. I am just completely abandoning the idea of worrying about how old my team is in Dynasty anymore, because the league's going to fold anyway. So what the hell do I care? Like, people who are obsessing over that really, I think now, a lot of leagues from the pandemic era are starting to officially fall apart. We're starting to realize it's like, okay, so these people aren't going to be committed to play in this league for the next 10 years. So why do I care how good my team's going to look in 2028? I'm trying to win now. I want the prize now. So just like I'm getting really annoyed about that. But maybe that's just a me thing. I don't know.
I was gonna say I don't know that I've ever known you to be annoyed about anything, Herms.
I do a good job of not being outwardly annoyed by a lot of things, but trust me, my default state is just deeply annoyed.
That was pure sarcasm.
Well, good.
Yeah, get her ass, Herms.
I will say maybe I've been a little lucky on this. Because
it's too early in the day for me to register that. That was my bad.
Get her ass.
I will say maybe I've been a little lucky in terms of the dynasty stuff that you're talking about, Herms, because I haven't really run into any of those leagues. Like all the ones that I've been in, like I've stuck in. I've had some where the commissioner has dropped out, but somebody always picks up the baton. Maybe we're cycling through players, but the league is still going. But like Joe's and I, like our big like home dynasty league, we're going into season 9 now. That one's been on for a while, and Joe hates it because he sucks at dynasty.
Stupid.
This dynasty sucks.
But like we started a couple club fantasy ones that have been going on for like one, obviously the Leap of Faith one that just started this year. The other one is going into season 4. I've joined a couple others with some other friends that they're in, year 5, 6 now. So maybe I just haven't caught that same fatigue because I'm not in a ton of like industry-esque dynasty leagues where I do agree with your sentiment. Like I think that there's a lot of people that just love drafting and they love being like, oh, I'm going to build this team. And then it's like, it gets to a point where it's like, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to do this shit. It's too much work. And that to me is just fucking lazy. I hate that shit. I hate it so much. Because
Dynasty's stupid.
Yeah. See, everybody's like, oh my gosh, Dynasty's so much better. And I'm like, no. I don't have the patience or the attention span for Dynasty. Like, see, I just want a new team every year. It's
chess, not checkers. That's what
I don't know how to play chess, so.
Oh, good God.
The little horse can only move in an L shape. That's my biggest.
If I'm not mistaken, that's the knight, correct?
I think so. Not entirely sure. I'm going to have to Google that one. But...
Oh, my goodness. All right.
Not you.
So, we do answer a few start-sit questions on this show, Herm. So I'm going to bring up this one from Caesar. He's down 39. It's a PPR league. He's starting Knicks, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Sutton, McLaurin. Here, I'll do it this way. There you go. I'm going to switch this up. McLaurin, he's got 2 flexes, Jameson Williams, Drake London. His bench, Josh Allen, Achane, Dobbins, Tracy, Pollard. Oh, holy crap. Okay, cool. What are we thinking here? Because I'm assuming this is a 2-week fantasy championship. Obviously, he's got a lot on his bench here that could go off. I think the biggest name to me is Blake Corum. Would you try to fit him in this lineup over any of his current starters?
I mean, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm a little checked out on some of the Week 18 stuff. I didn't put together rankings this week, but I'm aware of which teams are actually playing for something. So, like, that is a pretty big part of the calculus. Like, just as a general tip before we get into the specifics, Caesar, any player that's actually playing in a meaningful game, try to get them in your lineup, because if their real team's not playing for anything, it's a waste of your time. So, like, Corum doesn't really fall into that category, but he's unique in that he's going to get like a lot of volume opportunities. So, like, that's kind of where I get a little frustrated. But like the 2 flexes is kind of where I'm looking at here, right? Like JMO and London, both teams are. The Falcons still technically in it. Are they actually doing something?
Yeah, they're still technically in it.
I mean, they still need to win. They need to win and Tampa to lose, and they'll win the division.
Okay, so like, I'd roll with what you have, honestly.
I think the only one that I might look, because again, like Blake Corum is somebody that I want in my lineup.
Yeah, you want Tony Pollard in there too.
Yeah,
83 yards from a $250,000 incentive.
Yeah, that's fair. He's also been banged up, so I don't.
Tony Pollard in for Jonathan Taylor, Blake Corum in for Jameson Williams.
hate that.
Jamo's got that big boom potential though, and they're going to need it against that Viking secondary.
I mean, I guess he's down 39, sure, but no.
See, I'd be more willing to put Corum in over McLaurin. So, like, switch London into the wide receiver spot and get Corum in over McLaurin. Because right now, the Commanders really don't have anything to play for. Like, they're playing for seeding at this point, but it's not enough that makes me feel like, they're going to trot McLaurin out for the whole game kind of thing. Because they're a road playoff team regardless of where it goes.
Fine. Corum for McLaurin, Tracy for Jonathan Taylor. Bench Jonathan Taylor, fucking bomb that organization's a pile of dog shit.
It's not great right now. It's not great.
No.
You lose to the Giants like that, heads are going to start rolling there. That was one of the worst displays of football I've seen all year.
I think Pat McAfee could be a little annoying sometimes, and he goes like crazy. But everything he said about the Colts was 1,000% accurate. In his tweet and what he said on his show, it was 1,000% accurate that organization is in shambles, and everyone needs to be fired. That's not even everyone needs to be fired. That was a joke of a loss.
Well, speaking of the Colts, would you go Flacco or Josh Dobbs in Week 18?
I didn't know Josh Dobbs still was employed. Joe Flacco.
Yeah, he's starting for Brock Purdy.
Joe Flacco's auditioning for starting quarterback jobs next year. Joe Flacco.
The fact that we're starting Joe Flacco in 2024 is...
Well, he's played better than Aaron Rodgers, so... Flacco.
I gotta go Flacco here. I'm not a big Josh Dobbs fan.
He's horrible.
The Jags are terrible. So
very true.
Yeah. Let's go. I think it's Flacco. I think that's where you want to go here. All right.
Random question, Herms. What SFB 14 division are you in?
The Joker division.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
I ended up doing relatively well until guys like Chris Godwin and Rashee Rice got hurt. I had a good team. Okay,
so I feel about Dynasty.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, no, like it's the first year I had like a really, really good team. Like I've made the playoffs in Scott Fishbowl before, but like I had a really good feeling about it. That like injuries had never seriously screwed my Scott Fishbowl team before until this year, and that was just very devastating. I never got over it. Although I anchored a lot of my scoring around Joe Mixon and Alvin Kamara, so it wouldn't have mattered. Yeah, never mind. It's fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Very quickly turned that grievance on its head because I realized my team would have sucked anyway.
We'd all be a lot happier if this just didn't exist. So
probably be a little less stressful.
I stand by that.
Less gray hairs.
I don't care about the stress. It's just I'm just unhappy. I'm just unhappy. That's it.
Oh goodness, Herms, I appreciate your time, man. Any parting words for the audience?
Brush your teeth and eat your vegetables.
Not at the same time.
Or brush your vegetables and eat your teeth. I mean, whatever.
Whatever floats.
Remind everybody where they can find you, Herms, and everything you're working on this offseason.
Yeah, you can follow me on the Twitter at ch_Herms. I'm on Blue Sky just at Herms and then the rest of it. And I do things at Fantasy Points. That's their logo on that. You can find stuff at fantasypoints.com that I do sometimes in the future and in the past.
There you go. One of the best radio voices in the biz. Herms, appreciate your time, bud.
Adios.
See you, bud.
Is Blue Sky
all right.
I don't want to make it. Let's not make it a thing.
So Blue Sky was a thing for a hot minute when everybody's like, the election's over.
Twitter.
And
Elon
Twitter
Musk.
sucks, and blah blah blah. And I joined. I have one. I don't pay attention to it.
Is this like Threads? Like Threads is like cool for like 2 seconds. That people are like, oh
Pretty
look, Facebook's learning like how many times you shit in a day, and like we don't want to know that.
So Blue Sky, it was created by the individual that created Twitter.
I know exactly what it is,
and
it pisses me off. Like, it's guys, let's get off Facebook. That's not happening. Instagram, let's change. No, that's not happening. Get off Twitter. That's not happening. It's not happening. It is simply not happening. It's Twitter. Stop fucking calling it X. Get off Blue Sky.
forever Twitter.
We're using it until Elon Musk blows it up. All right? We're using it until that point in time. I work in social media. Stop coming up with... That's my grievance. Stop coming up with these dumbass fucking social media platforms that aren't going to catch on. Because then I'm going to have to create a fucking account, make a plan for it, and then 2 months later, it's gone. I don't want to do that. All right?
Speaking of your job, I don't know what theme night you guys decided to call it, but those neon indie
Glow night.
jerseys, those were baller.
Thank you. I didn't come up with the idea, but thank you.
You work for the team.
I was in the room.
I'm trying to give Joe credit. Before I bring on our final guest, I want to pull this up. Woods Girl, we love you. We appreciate you. You've been following us for a while. Always love the support. Much appreciated.
If you're gonna show that from her, you got to show this one too.
Well, but agree with who on the Dynasty stuff?
I think she's talking about me and Joe. So, me and Joe.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, our final guest. You know him. You love him. You see him on Monday mornings with me, Mr. Gator J.
He's a Gators fan.
Yeah.
I don't know what gave that away, Faith. Have no idea what gave that away. Besides you ragging me every chance you get, whether it's in, whether that's on Twitter or Joe's new favorite spot, Blue Sky, or over on Sleeper.
I'm sorry. Who just sent you mail? Zach, go away.
Just like
I sent you Fishmas mail.
Fishmas mail.
And with
I also have more Fishmas mail.
I mean this to all respect to the people that have come on here and like dropped their Blue Sky account and everything like that. If you're gonna post on Blue Sky, just restart your Tumblr account. Like it's just
is that the one where you swipe?
Which ironically is actually how Fantasy started on Tumblr.
That's
start of
Visco
Visco. Like
girls.
Joe,
what was the original photo hosting site?
When are we going to get MySpace?
No, the other one.
The top 5 was always the best.
MySpace
top 8, Gator.
Google Circle Plus. Like what?
Oh God, I remember that.
Yeah, remember when Google tried to make a social platform?
If you want a WAF sticker,
God, I hate it here.
Need those too.
DM the WAF account.
I
got plenty of them.
hate it here.
The spot's right there. Look at that. Look at all that blank space I need to fill.
Yeah, same.
Joe, I love the subheader. I love how you're just changing these on the fly.
I said this to start the show. I was changing it to each person. All right. I didn't know much about Herm, so I kept Kyle Shanahan hates women because the woman was still on the show. All right.
How does Joe act like he knows me? I mean,
I didn't even think you. I actually meant like crocodiles. I meant crocodiles, but sure, we have a double meaning. Why not?
Why not? Right.
Also, if anybody is watching and was in the Fishbowl 13 Heinz division or the 14 Lion King division, I have stickers, and they want to go.
That weirdly feels like it's infringing on copyright. Those 2 stickers. I'm just gonna ignore that though. It just weirdly feels like it.
It's all for charity. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Jay, give us your biggest grievance 2024.
Dealing with you.
Being the last one on everything that I have pretty much has been taken. I love
haters are his grievance with 2024.
Wait. We were actually pretty decent at the end, so let's slow down there. Although yours could be Notre Dame, but we'll leave that one alone. I want to,
Hey, at least we made the playoffs.
I would have rather.
That's what losing teams say. Don't say that. That's what losing teams say.
I would rather not make the playoffs than get blown out by Notre Dame after having a bye. That sounds very familiar.
TCU sitting there like, oh, at least we made the championship. Did you though? Did you?
I think probably the biggest one for me this year was the Travis Kelce. We knew that Cliff was coming. We just didn't expect it like now. Or as steep as it was going to be. I mean, he's still tight end 5, but so what? Because the points, what was it? Points per his average points per game just for tight ends, it was like something 12 points per game he averaged. That's not what we expected.
Still tight end 7.
Understood.
That position sucks.
The whole Kansas City, and we've talked about this on Monday, going 15-1 and still not scoring 30 points per, in a game is insane. On how good that defense was, that they didn't need anybody on offense. And Travis Kelce fell into that hole of, well, we don't need you. You are now Kyle Pitts and a blocking tight end.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Would you like to know some fun stats on tight ends, Gator? I know you would.
I was going to say no, but it was like, you know what? He's going to.
Even if you say no,
anyway,
Jay, we're still going to give them anyway.
So Gator, I'm going to.
Question. It's not a question needing an answer.
No.
It's just fucking rhetorical.
All of Joe's questions are rhetorical.
Let's go through the top tight ends of the year. Brock Bowers, number 1. Mm-hmm. George Kittle, great year. He was being drafted as the tight end too. Normally, Trey McBride was up in that top 5 area. Jonnu Smith, never drafted. Travis Kelce was normally the first guy off the board. And then you get down into the tight end 6, which was Chris Boswell, and then the tight end 7, which was Brandon Aubrey. The tight end 8 was Mark Andrews, but then the tight end 9 was Kaimi Fairbairn, and rounding out the top 10 is Cameron Dicker.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Joe, because I know you look at these stats that way. How good was Jake Bates as a tight end this year?
Jake Bates this year would be, please hold as I go and find this information. Jake Bates would have been the tight end 13 this year.
I knew it was going to be close to a tight end 1. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Since we're on kicker talk, I'm going to bring this up from Woods Girl. Going hero kicker.
And you should have, because at this point, if you're kicking kickers out of your league, you should also remove the tight end position. Because when 4 kickers crack the top 10 of tight ends, that's a problem. That's a problem. So if you're kicking kickers out because they don't score enough points, neither do your fucking tight ends. Sorry. I don't make the rules.
I'm sorry, Mom.
So 2025 for Joe is going to have quarterback, 1 running back, 6 wide receivers in your starting lineup?
No, I go 3 running backs to start every league every year, and then I take a receiver, and then I take my 4th running back in the 5th round. That's normally how it goes. I make the playoffs. That's all I know is I make the playoffs. So, but no, I always save my kicker for last, because you want to know who I took in the last round? Cameron Dicker. You want to know how many points he scored? As many as Travis Kelce, who you took in the 2nd round. So, fuck you, everybody. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I don't make the rules. I just enforce them.
Any other grievances, Gator?
Me.
Well, I mean,
everybody's grievance today.
Yeah. Joe is so right when it comes to that. And the reason it's a grievance is because you hate the fucking truth, right? The truth.
Yes.
Joe's
yes.
True. You
hate that Chris Boswell scored more points than Mark fucking Andrews. I hate it. I don't like Chris Boswell. He's horrible. He's not a good kicker.
I mean,
He has been this year.
He's pretty good.
Yeah. But he's not, and that's what.
He's definitely had a history of not being good, though.
Yeah, yeah. You tell me about it. Brandon Aubrey, more reliable than Mark Andrews. Why?
Because
why?
turning upside down. I said it earlier.
That's probably the and you can say this just about every year, but the biggest grievance for just about everybody should be injuries, and the amount of injuries just seem to pile on so much earlier this year. And I think a lot of that is, and we sure have studies done about it, but there is way less training camp, way less time in the off season for these players to get, into shape or game ready or whatnot. And then you immediately walk into, after three preseason games now, I think it is. And yes, it's an 18 week season, but it is 18 grueling weeks, because you cannot, you cannot lose that many games and still be into the playoffs, unlike the Cincinnati Bengals. But these guys have been playing basically 5 weeks of playoff football, and now luckily they haven't had the injuries until last week when Chase Brown went down. But that's going to hurt him today, I think. If he doesn't play, that's a big problem. And we've had that all year long, whether that's the Chris Godwin injury, whether it's been the Cooper Kupp, injury earlier this season. That is probably the biggest gripe for me as a fantasy football player is having the injuries and having to navigate those injuries throughout a season. That, injuries are going to happen. I get it, but there is no you cannot recover from certain injuries of those players that you're drafting so early. Hence the CMCs at 101.
So this was something that was brought up.
CMC.
Or that. This was something that was brought up on Thursday's Sneaky Flex when Rowan and Maisie interviewed Stefania Bell. Because she brought up, the amount of injuries and everything too. And she's like, she hasn't really dug too much into the analytics. But what she mentioned was the higher profile people that were suffering these injuries, which maybe provides like a bit of a mirage around the idea that, oh, we've had more injuries than previous seasons. Obviously, the data will show what it shows, but I think she's got a point in the sense that, there's injuries every year, but it's not always knocking out 2/3 of the 24 players that were drafted in the first 2 rounds, right? And I think that's kind of where everybody's had to pivot so much with our fantasy teams. It's been the amount of injuries to the higher profile players that we spent premium draft capital on more than anything.
Yeah, with all of the the non extra work that they would be getting 5-6 years ago, plus now with them being so out in the public eye, having to do all these different shows and not do or commercials or autograph signings or whatever, because that's who everybody wants to see. They're not in there as much. And it does suck. I think as fantasy managers, we need to reevaluate some of these rankings and seeing where we're going with these guys and what our projections should be.
In a standard league, Brock Bowers would have been the kicker 11.
Because kickers don't score touchdowns.
Would have been the kicker.
Or because tight ends have struggled to score touchdowns.
11. That's where Brock Bowers would have been.
Joe, this show was in such an upbeat tone at that.
This was never upbeat.
This is not an upbeat show.
Have you ever been on a show with Joe?
Yeah, once. And now twice, but
it's literally his position is to rain on everybody's parade.
Joe is the ultimate Debbie Downer.
Yes.
There were 26 kickers that
he
scored.
Just goes right into it.
There were 26 kickers.
Part of this.
There were 26 kickers that scored over 100 points this year. In a standard tight end league, there were 8. In a PPR league, there were 26. You cannot convince me that the tight end position is of any value in fantasy football when a kicker that I could take in the last round or pick up on the waiver wire will score as many points as any tight end that I throw in my fucking lineup that week. You can't. It's impossible.
League setup matters in this equation. If it's tight end premium, clearly your tight ends are going to outscore your kickers. Or if you're playing in a team that doesn't play kickers, then they will not outscore tight ends.
The reason people are taking kickers out of leagues is because they don't score as much as tight ends. But they do.
Then wouldn't you just want to add kickers and remove tight ends if that's the case?
That's what Joe's doing. That's what Joe's doing in every single
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Stop taking the kickers out. Add the fucking punter. I don't care. Torrey Taylor would have killed in fantasy football this year, all right? And it would have been Caleb Williams' heartbreak.
I just think, hey, Kelly, if you're listening, I think our Flexual Innuendo League needs to be kicker premium. I know you love tight ends, but Josh hates kickers, and it would just really make me so happy.
What is kicker premium?
I don't
know.
know.
What would that entail?
I don't know. Well, I mean, we can figure something out. How would it be any different than a tight end premium, right? Like you get bonus points for a reception by a tight end. You can get
you do it like Scott Fish does for Scott Fishbowl. You do it
yardage
for the yardage.
No, but double it, right? Like a 33-yard extra point is 6.6 points, right? Like add in like
or
bonuses
15.
for.
Yeah, I like chaos.
Yeah.
Sure.
Faith is that one that, you know, when she looks down at her scores on a Monday, seeing what she needs for Monday night, it needs to be like 395 to 410 as the scoring for the match.
No. See, I would like screenshot 395 to 210. Okay.
All I know is that in Dynasty, I have begged Josh for IDPs, and he took away kickers and will not add IDPs. So
it's actually on my docket this year to put up for a vote, Joe, because the one person that was very steadfast against it left the league last year. So I think if I put it to a vote, it might actually pass.
We have an IDP spot in our Flexual League, and it's fantastic.
And I will be drafting Zaire Franklin with that pick. Thank you.
Not if I get him first.
I was gonna say,
you're not in that league, bitch.
Oh, okay. That's fair. That's fair.
Not in that league, bitch.
Not allowed in that league, bitch.
Yeah.
No, a new spot just hasn't opened up yet.
That's who I started predominantly every week this year in Flexual. In my IDP spot was Zaire Franklin.
I made the championship with Zaire Franklin. Also the only guy that had Budda Baker inside the top 4 for defensive backs, and he's DB1. Guys, I'm not saying I'm right all the time, but it just happens to lay out that way. Josh is very quiet right now.
Joe, how did you do in the Zollo Family League against Lou and G?
That was second in that one, and then that's the only one with my whole family in it.
Who won that league?
Big Z. The Zollo fam did represent the championship. We knocked out the Pendenza family in the semifinals.
Pendenza family.
Oh,
There's a guy who plays for the Everblades whose last name is Pendenza.
And they are related.
Shut up, that's awesome.
That is their cousin, Joe Pendenza. Yep.
The Everblades will be in Indy
in
February.
Yep.
And I thought about flying up there.
Yep, the Pendenzas, the Fonzies, the Zollos, representing the fucking
Italian
league in Boston. I made the championship both years. One last year, came in second this year. And then the other league I made with my dad. Third most points for, worst record in the league. Someone figure that out for me. Someone do the math. 4-10. 2,400 points scored.
Speaking of high points, I love how we were talking about kicker premium, and now we got suggestions in the chat.
See?
10 points per 50-yarder, 5 for 50 or for 40, 1 point for a lead-changing field goal or extra point. That I think would be a little more difficult.
I would say I don't know how you would do that, but I
don't know that a platform would be able to track that, but I do like it.
That's an interesting little premium. Look,
so, there's ways to make a kicker premium.
All I'm saying is add the long snappers in there too, and then it starts getting real interesting. I don't know how you track long snapper stats. Did you guys see the Pro Bowl graphic for the long snappers? And I was scrolling through. I was like, who the fuck are these mullet ass looking motherfuckers from Jacksonville and whoever the hell the other guy was? Jacksonville, the one Pro Bowler they have. We have the long snapper. Okay.
Straight off of the deep sea fishing boat too.
At least like the special teamers, like people know, like Kadero Hodge and Brendan Schooler, like those names have been brought up in like light conversations before. Who the fuck? I don't even know the guys' names. Who is the long snapper from the Jacksonville Jaguars? Do you know the long snapper of the Eagles, Josh?
Nope.
There you go. I know it's Joe Cardona for the Patriots because Bill Belichick was slobber knocking his cock every fucking time he would talk about Joe Cardona. I'm like, I don't need to know this guy's name.
Isn't that the one from Chattanooga?
No, that is Cole Strange, and he wears 69. It says Strange 69 on the back of his jersey. Put some fucking respect on that guy's name. No, Joe Cardona is a fucking army man, and he saves lives.
He a hero in the Boston Marathon bombing?
I don't know about that, but I do know. I take it back. I believe he went to Navy. Joe Cardona did go to one of the armed forces schools, so fucking Mr. Cardona. Because there was a video, they were doing a swearing-in ceremony, and he didn't go to at halftime. He didn't go to the locker room. He stood at attention during the entire ceremony. So Joe Cardona, dog. That's the only fucking reason I know who Joe Cardona is.
This would be a fun one for kicker premium. Rushing yards on a fake kick count as 5 times.
It has there been a fake kick in forever?
But it's usually the holder, right? It's usually the holder, not necessarily the actual kicker.
Personal protector is.
When has there been a fake? I'm not talking about punt. Punt, that happens all the time. When has there been a fake kick?
I can't happen on occasion, but that's the thing. Like, they're so rare that I like the idea behind this. Like,
I agree with that. Like, that's
for the rarity of it, like, boosted big time, right?
If you're
because everybody's going to be like, oh shit, I got to add this person because there's a chance that this could happen, right? Like,
if your kicker gets even 1 rushing yard, I think you deserve the win that week. I think that's how it should go. Because I don't know the last time a kicker got a yard.
It's so
more kicker love in the chat. What is today? Good
all
Lord.
I'm seeing here is that we need to bring kickers back.
Yeah, but that would be something similar to a boosted bet at 16 times, because it doesn't happen. It feels like doing something like that is like a wasting of a roster spot.
Make fantasy football kickers again. Making a hat.
Muska.
Oh my god. Couple of questions here before we get out of here. Woodgirl wants to know, will the Bears do anything in Green Bay this week, fantasy wise?
Choke.
There'll be points.
Mm-hmm.
Could be positive, could be negative.
I don't know if I'd want to.
There will be numbers.
I don't know if I'd want to play Caleb Williams, but I would like to. If I was playing, it would be Keenan Allen would be the one that I would play at the wide receiver position, because I think he's wanting one more year, whether that's with the Bears or back in LA. And I think he needs to have another good game. So Keenan Allen would be the one out of that Bears.
Yeah, he's fighting for contract for next year. So.
If you have a punter slot, may I recommend Tory Taylor, who
is that the Bears?
That is the Bears punter, who notably received a text message from Caleb Williams saying, "Don't worry, you won't be punting a lot this year." Tory Taylor is 186 punt yards behind Caleb Williams' passing yards this year. So there's a chance that Tory Taylor has more punt yards than Caleb Williams. There's a chance. Who knows?
Oh, I love this one.
The obscure stat right there just makes me smile because of the stats on Monday morning. So that makes me smile, Joel. I think I appreciate that.
Yep.
Who sold his Bears Packers tickets this week for his hotel room for the combine?
Are you staying at the fucking Days Inn in the ghetto? Yeah. What are you?
Motel 6. Yeah. We leave the light on for you.
I say you sleeping in an Airbnb.
I mean, it's in
studio
Green
apartment
Bay,
across
so,
from Speedway.
I mean, those
like,
tickets are worth something.
Are they?
Yeah.
Are they?
There's enough diehard Packers fans that it won't matter too much.
I'm pretty sure if I wipe my ass with the ticket, I would sell for more.
Oh God. All right, we got a Week 18 question here. Between Deonta Foreman, Olamide Zaccheaus, Marvin Mims Jr., and Jalen McMillan, who are you sitting? He's got to start 3.
Foreman?
Yeah, I think I'm sitting Foreman here. I wouldn't trust that at all. They did just put Jerome Ford on IR, so he's likely to get most of the run. But it is against Baltimore. Pretty good run defense.
Yeah, Foreman.
Yeah, that's the only obvious. I mean, that's the obvious one.
2 of them are playing for something. Zaccheaus is there, and then Foreman is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to expect a ton from McMillan this week, because I think it's going to be feed Mike Evans, feed Mike Evans, feed Mike Evans. But
to get him that 1,000.
Yeah, I just that Baltimore front 7 is just. I don't want no part of that with a running back.
I agree. Let's see if there's any other questions that I missed.
I think that was it.
Woods Girl brings up Jonathan Brooks and Nick Chubb going on IR as late rounders. Big fail. definitely see that. Joe had a chance to trade his 2025 first for Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams.
Oopsie.
He chose
Look, I'm not
poorly.
Don't give up. If it's a dynasty, don't give up on the kid after a year.
No, I agree.
But
I mean, definitely the 1 year kind of, if you're playing for this year, clearly you wanted Daniels.
100% for this year. If you're looking at the guys who've gone first overall recently, Caleb Williams by far has like more skill than probably all of them.
Agreed.
The issue is nobody has actually coached this guy. That's a problem. He played in the Pac-12, notorious for no defense. Absolutely notorious for not having defenses. He then goes to Chicago, who fired their offensive coordinator, fired their head coach. That's a problem. Who they should have fired before the season, mind you. So he hasn't had somebody to coach him. If somebody sits Caleb Williams down and says, hey, every play you're throwing to your first read, and if that guy's not open, hit the tight end underneath. That needs 8 games. That's all that's happening. Is here's DJ Moore, here's Keenan Allen. Here's the route they're running. You do a 5-step drop and fucking whip it. That's what he does. And if he's not open, tight end, running back, dump. I don't care. They need to have him not play hero ball. Because, yes, he did take a lot of sacks. His offensive line was not good. But a lot of those sacks, he's holding on to the ball for 7 seconds. I'm sorry. The O-line can't block for 7 seconds. If the secondary's covering for 7 seconds, wrong. They weren't covering for 7 seconds. They can't. That's impossible at the NFL level. So, somebody's got to get the fuck open. Every other rookie quarterback seems to understand that except Caleb Williams. That's scary. So he needs to... Don't give up on him yet. But yeah, this year he kind of got fucked if that was the case. I'm also saying this.
Well, I mean,
I
he
have
was
Caleb
fucked
Williams
from the beginning
dynasty.
because we all knew Matt Eberflus and what was a one-and-done guy.
The others...
Insane.
Shane Waldron was never the right choice for offense.
All I know is that Jaden Daniels broke the Bears because they've been winless ever since that Hail Mary.
The other side of that coin, though, Joe, everything you said is 100% accurate. Even the part where spinning your 2025 first, because this quarterback class doesn't look that great coming out anyway. Caleb was still a top 15 in points per game when it came down to it. So if you're playing the long game, he's still a solid, especially if you're in Superflex, still a solid QB2 for you, even with this horrible season that it looked. And if he gets that coaching, you're going to be sitting okay.
Yeah. I only play 1 QBs.
In a completely unrelated question, Joe, I have a question for you. Do you understand this reference?
I'm living in a van down by the river.
That's because he sold his tickets. That's
yes, but it's because of Joe's age that I ask this.
Gilligan's Island, Golden Girls.
Josh, do you understand this reference?
Gone with the Wind. Casablanca.
Yes, but I'm
Jake,
having a hard time actually
do you
putting a
understand
finger
this reference?
The
on.
Roaring 20s.
I'm thinking like Gardner Minshew.
Brown Eyed Girl. Van Morrison.
You guys are disappointing. It's Chris Farley, SNL.
Okay.
I live in a van down by the river.
Okay.
I'm grossly disappointed.
I
Right
enjoyed
Joe.
Tommy.
I expect that from you.
I enjoyed
you're
Tommy
Joe.
Boy.
See, SNL, that's on Saturdays, right? That's when
What's
college football is
happening?
playing, and that's usually what I'm doing.
What?
What do you mean?
SNL is Saturday.
Florida hasn't played in an important Saturday night game in forever. You should be watching.
Doesn't matter. I watch.
Also, it's on at midnight.
I watch all the college football. That's when I'm watching all the recaps of the games I didn't get to see.
Also, Chris Farley's been dead for like 10 years. So
It's been a
Actually,
little
it's
longer
been
than
longer
10.
Yeah.
Longer than
Lot
10.
longer than 10
That
years.
guy in a little coat. That's what I know about Chris Farley. I mean, Chris Farley was awesome.
What do you mean? You don't know this?
Chris Farley was a gem.
Yes,
thank you, Hoove. I get you. I get you. Also, I just recently got a new pin, and I need to show Gator this pin because it's magical.
Oh, that's pretty.
Isn't it?
Mhm.
It's so fun.
But that's a crocodile, so that's cool.
Crocs over Gators, bro.
All right, Joe. I know you need to rant about Kyle Shanahan. So
Oh, do I?
take it away.
Yeah, hold on.
We've got to go
You're
back.
gonna get
Ryan's got Ryan's.
out of here.
Joe's pulling up his Google Doc right quick.
No. Okay. Now I'm good. I just had to change my thing. Yeah. So the crazy part is the one league I had Christian McCaffrey, I made the playoffs. So like I can't even like truly be overtly mad at this, but this motherfucker, I don't understand. I don't understand.
Be mad, but I'm gonna.
Like I just the thing that pissed me off is I sat there. I still would have been wrong in who I picked. I was higher on Breece Hall. I had Breece. I thought it was going to be Breece Hall 1, Saquon 2. Obviously, should have flipped that. But at least if I had taken Breece Hall, I would have won a couple more games. Week 1, go in. Christian McCaffrey. Oh, it might have tweaked something in training camp and preseason. Oh, okay, Kyle. Sounds good. Thank you for the information. I appreciate you being truthful and honest with the media and the public. No, you cocksucker. This bitch went and said, he'll be fine. Day to day, questionable, but should play. Then, on Monday, he says, actually, Christian's not playing. Okay, maybe he had a setback. Maybe he didn't feel great on Sunday. The walk, there may be something tweaked. Totally fine. After the game, Jordan Mason is asked, when did you learn you were going to start? Oh, on Friday. I'm sorry. On Friday? Jordan Mason sitting there in his cold tub at home watching the Packers-Eagles play in Brazil, gets an old text from little old Shanahan, says, you're in, bud. And we, the public, who have money on this shit, are starting Christian McCaffrey with no fucking rhyme or reason to life whatsoever. It's like, oh, okay, Christian's out for a week. No big deal. Week 2, he's back in. Actually, no. He's going to be out a couple more weeks. IR, not on the table. Okay, Kyle, you know what? Thank you for being a little more honest and upfront this week. I appreciate that of you. No, says Kyle Shanahan. He says, no, I'm going to put him on IR to fuck all of you over. Okay, sure. He's activated. Back off IR. Week 7. We're going to get him ready. But hold on. We have a bye week in week 9. Why would I play Christian McCaffrey before that? Great question, Kyle. Why'd you take him off IR, you cocksucker? What are you doing? Anyways, then Kyle Shanahan doesn't play him till week 10. He does fine. He wasn't good. He was okay. Still splitting carries. He's then trotting along like the little white animatronic boy that Christian McCaffrey is. And then he just falls. He just falls. Like the Washington Monument in Independence Day. He just falls. It just goes down. This bitch. And then he's out the rest of the fucking season because he was never ready to come back. Because lo and behold, you can't recover from an Achilles injury in a week.
Aaron Rodgers.
I'm upset.
I would just like to state for the record, people
they still work. That would actually be really disappointing. These are really nice headphones. I'm upset.
But what are you upset about, Joe?
Because Kyle Shanahan has a fucking job paying him $8 million a year, and I'm here being paid $54,000, and I'm better at my job than he is. It's angry. I am angry. Matt Eberflus essentially jerked off on his playbook for the Bears and said, let me just see what I can call here.
Joe, you know how you fix that problem? The same way I do. You don't draft CMC.
But I'm still confused, Joe. I don't understand how you truly feel about this yet. But I do have this question for you. You didn't know this was coming as you sat there and watched 28-3 And then you have this in your face. I mean, whose fault is it? Is it your fault that as a Patriots fan, you've already seen this book play out?
You want to know the craziest stat that Ryan brought up to me on a show as I was complaining about Christian McCaffrey? There is a website somewhere. Somebody tracks coach speak to see how accurate coaches are in talking about injuries, updates, anything like that. Outside of Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Shanahan was 100% honest in his coach speak this year. So no, Gator. How dare I put faith into a man that was 100% correct the rest of the year? But he said, meh. He said, Matt, the best player, one of the best running backs of his generation, if not the best running back of his generation. Meh. Fuck it. Whatever. I don't care. This motherfucker, God. Oh.
CMC can't stay healthy long term. That's why I don't.
He has. What do you? No, that is a horrible fucking reference.
It's not.
Yes, it is. He has. He has never. He has when he's been hurt. He's played a couple games. Has been hurt the rest of the season. It has not carried over. He has played full seasons and has not missed 1 to 2 games or 3 and 4 games here and there. He's either out for the season or he plays the whole season. Kyle
Shanahan. You never know what it's going to be. So
okay.
You can't trust it.
Okay, fine. He played the whole fucking last year and had 9,000 points. God, I'm hitting shit. This is insane. It makes no sense that Kyle Shanahan would just fucking lie on the subject. It wasn't even like, there was a setback. No, he knew Christian McCaffrey was going on IR in fucking mid-August. And he said, you know what I need to do? I need to fool the New York Jets because they're a real contender this year. And I need to make sure they're preparing for Christian and not Jordan Mason. Oh boy, Kyle, you really did that great. Now, can I ask you about the other 17 weeks of football that you fucked up this season? How'd that go?
6-10. It went great.
He owns the 3 biggest Super Bowl leads in NFL history. All 3 of them. Kyle Shanahan.
I'm still wondering how that is. That there was never a. Maybe there was an investigation, but there was never a resolution that came out publicly on that particular instance. That was like 10, 15 minutes before the game started that it actually came out that Christian McCaffrey wasn't going to play. And then there was some sort of little talk about it, like you brought up about, Mason saying after the game that he found out on Friday. And then there was some backtracking the following interview. It's like, well, maybe I misspoke or whatever. But
Kyle Shanahan, the team should have been fine. They should have been, because that's 100% misleading. That team should have been fined. The team should have lost a draft pick. That is history. That has happened. Fine, lose a draft pick. And probably should have been a high one, too. 2nd or 3rd. I think a 1st is a little ridiculous. But, that is precedent. The Falcons were pumping in crowd noise. They lost a draft pick, got fined. The Dolphins did some dumb shit. Lost a draft pick, got fined.
The Patriots were accused of doing
balls
things.
in, watching tape or doing
yeah. I mean, hey, you watch tape, then you win a Super Bowl the next year. You inflate footballs or deflate footballs.
Allegedly.
Then you go out and win 3 more Super Bowls. So I'm sorry that you're all angry at that fact of winning. Kyle Shanahan doesn't win though. That's the crazy part.
That's fair.
Kyle
my
Shanahan.
quick grievances while we get off of this train.
When leading in the Super Bowl,
this has been the Joe Zollo.
Runs the football
Last
only
15
20% of the
minutes,
time. Okay.
Yeah.
You opened it up. I could have fucking.
No, I know.
Fine.
Look, I knew exactly what I was getting into when I
am upset.
Are you, Joe? I wasn't aware.
Yeah.
Hadn't figured that one
I'm just
out.
going to call out 2 people that I had high hopes for at the beginning of the season. DK Metcalf. I
Anthony
had him in the
Richardson.
Top 10. We were all down on him. That's not really a grievance. That's vindication. DK, I had him top 10 coming into the season, currently wide receiver 35. He was outplayed by the guy who was supposed to be replacing his counterpart, Tyler Lockett, not him. Only seeing 7.36 targets per game compared to JSN's 8.25 and 12.6 fantasy points per game. Not exactly what I had in mind when I drafted him in every single redraft league. And of course, Dalton Kincaid. He was my tight end 2 heading into the season because of the expected opportunity that came with a tight end being a wide receiver. Played only 13 games, saw 75 targets, didn't even catch 60% of them. He's averaging 7.8 fantasy points per game. He's the tight end 25 overall and did not even see 6 targets per game. Not what I had in mind when I had him as my tight end 2. Luckily, he was drafted ahead of me before I even had a chance to draft him. So this really didn't come and bite me in the ass. Just makes me look really stupid. That's all. So that's my grievances. Anybody else have any parting grievances before we sign off because we've been on for 2 hours? Faith.
Tight ends.
Is your name Faith?
Close enough.
I don't think so. I mean, obviously injuries always play because it's just a grievance when you draft Christian McCaffrey and then he gets hurt and is fine but isn't fine and you get lied to. But other than, I mean, I think I drafted well, but they were just disappointing. My bigger grievance is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Your biggest grievance should be with the fucking coaching staff and that offensive line.
Yeah, I still want to understand how Kirby Smart's not in jail for child abuse after running over the quarterback or trying to put him on his ass for no reason. But that's beside the point. We can talk about
I missed that. I didn't watch a single second of the game because I went in with. First of all, I was driving home and then I was asleep and I thought I was getting sick.
I was doing Pilates.
That's, you know what? Pilates is better than tantric yoga. That
was my first class. It was a great
I have
time.
to give props to Gunnar Stockton, who
Dog.
did not play horribly.
Dog. Is Hoove a 49ers fan? Is that why I'm getting flat?
Hoove is a 49ers fan.
Hoove. Count how many rings you have on that finger since the 1990s.
I was just say you need to count those since he's been alive.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Since he's been alive.
because you and the Dallas Cowboys have not been relevant since the 1990s. So you might want to check that. You might want to check that. Kyle Shanahan has not helped you.
I'll have,
Right?
I'll have to
Jay,
DVD you the
We're gonna
video
bring
I saw
bring
the
this
other day,
back.
of the Philadelphia fans showing Dallas how to relive their Super Bowl, and it was in a Back to the Future, the DeLorean. This is how they get to go see it, and it was like 1996. You can do the exact same thing for 49ers fans on how to see the Super Bowl.
Hoove, we do not have enough time.
Yeah, we really
but-
don't. We got to
Yeah,
end
we got a
this
whole
because I got to
show.
get my ass to work. So
Yeah, the fact you are holding on to Kyle Shanahan is a mistake. He's horrible. He's so fucking bad.
Okay,
Anyway.
Joe, stop. Jay, any final grievances?
He already did like 7.
No, I mean,
We
look,
need-
I got a couple of championships. I am good to go. Like I said, Travis Kelce was the biggest one. I do want to piggyback on something that Herm said about Dynasty. If you know it's going to be 3 years or thereabouts, just go get your guy. Go get your guy, win, and get the fuck on, because it's if that's what the Dynasty landscape is right now. And playing in that 3-year window, don't care about how old they are. You don't need to go and send first round picks for like a 27 first and a 28 first. You just go get the best player available. Go win your league now. That's
anything
pretty-
else
Yeah.
that's not Kyle Shanahan related?
Don't play Dynasty. Add kickers.
Take away tight ends.
Take away tight ends. And stop fantasy football, because we'd all be a lot happier if we just didn't do this.
Probably would be.
Yeah.
That would you know what, that would end like 4 shows right away on Club Fantasy FFL, and
That
we
would
don't
end
do that.
all of them.
Outside of the cat, who's your caddy? It would really. Sure.
That would really
Yeah.
do damage to this.
Apparently, I don't know. I'm happy. I'm
We're
not
gonna
here the
make
next.
this- We're gonna make this a pay-per-view match.
Right? Hoove, I do have plans for a debate show in the off season. This
Oh,
could be
can I
kinda
moderate?
I have 3 reasons: the Super Bowl against the Patriots and the 2 against the Chiefs. Those are my 3 reasons. There you go.
And let's end it on this. Awesome.
Facts.
Yep. Fantasy football sucks, and we're going to still play for the next 100 years.
Yeah.
And with that, this has been airing of the Fantasy Grievances here on Club Fantasy. You, of course, can follow everyone and all of us. Oh, my God. Stop clicking the damn buttons. I'm the host. Let me fucking host.
That's fate.
Jesus Christ.
Because you
I'm
were
not-
talking
Anyway.
and it was still
I'm
there.
not
So I
doing
hit it and
anything.
you brought it back.
No, I
That's
closed
what
it.
you do to me when I host. So bite me, karma,
Anyway.
as they say.
Hunter Henry's on
I'm
the draft
Josh.
for the Patriots.
That's Faith. That's Gator and Joe. We'll see everybody next year, but you can join Gator, myself, and Ryan on Monday morning at 11 a.m. for our way too early 2025 fantasy football mock draft. If you have not already, like the video, subscribe to the Club Fantasy YouTube channels, and of course, any and all things women of fantasy football at women_FF. Show some love to the ladies. We got some Super Bowl content coming your way in February, everybody.
Whoop, whoop.
And like
See
I
everybody
said, if
next
you want
time.
WAF stickers, DM the WAF account.